Chapter 11:15. The six-colored divine light suddenly appeared and descended from the sky without any warning. It intertwined with a faint divine aura and directly enveloped the Boundary Emperor who spoke. The Boundary Emperor's expression changed drastically. He had personally seen the skinny man from the great extinguishing divine dynasty being destroyed in a single strike. He couldn't help but shout, "Stop! Gee!" With a soft sound, the six-colored divine light enveloped this Boundary Emperor. Just like the skinny man, he was directly reduced to ashes. Old Third, the other Boundary Emperor from the Yin-Yang sect, was shocked. The Boundary Emperors and young primes of the other major forces also trembled. Another Boundary Emperor had been killed. At the same time, the group of cultivators far away trembled. Most of them couldn't help but gasp. So terrifying. Everyone stared at the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder in horror. A Boundary Emperor was actually so weak in the hands of the little Taichu. It could actually kill them so easily with just a wave of its claws. The Five Elements crocodile and Ling Yun laughed sinisterly as they stared at the expressions of the quasi-emperors and young supremes of the four major forces. They felt very happy. Lin Tian stood in the void. His expression was very calm. The little Taichu floated on his shoulder, blinking its big eyes. Thinking about how arrogant you guys were when you forced me to come here, and then looking at the changes in your expressions now, it's really a kind of enjoyment. His voice was very calm, but everyone present could hear the sarcasm in his words. Instantly, the Boundary Emperors of the four major forces gritted their teeth. They were shocked and angry. The Yin-Yang Saint and the other young primes naturally didn't look too good either. The heavenly demon puppet's eyes were very fierce. What's the point of relying on others? If you have the guts, fight me with your own strength. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked. Do you think you can defeat me? That I can't kill you? You think you can kill me with your own strength? The heavenly devil puppet's eyes were filled with wildness. Lin Tianling humphed. With a wave of his left hand, the celestial slaying bow, a high-grade sacred artifact, appeared. Then, he directly infused it with the laws of the great Tao, pulling the bowstring to the shape of a full moon, condensing the most powerful great Tao killing arrow, carrying with it strands of black lightning. His expression was indifferent as he released the bowstring in his right hand. In an instant, the great path killing arrow whizzed through the air. Vaguely, the soul shadow of a huge demonic dragon appeared and roared at the sky. This kind of power was extremely frightening and terrifying. In terms of momentum, it was much more intense than the six-color divine lights that the little Taichu had swept out. It caused many people to involuntarily tremble. The heavenly demon puppet's body trembled slightly. Naturally, it could feel the terror of this arrow. It immediately summoned all its strength. Demonic light rushed into the nine heavens, transforming into a huge pitch-black demonic shield. Crack! With a crisp sound, the great path killing arrow rushed over and destroyed the demonic shield. Then, it pierced straight into the heavenly demon puppet's chest. Pooh! Blood splattered. The heavenly demon puppet was torn into pieces on the spot. It was also at this time that Lin Tian pulled the divine bow again. He still used all his strength. The great path precepts surged into the divine bow, together with his third sky of nirvana cultivation and rich divine power. He drew the rolling spiritual chi in the void. In the blink of an eye, another 3-foot-long great path killing arrow was condensed. It carried a sky full of black lightning as it rushed toward the heavenly demon puppet. This was his strongest killing technique now. The combination of the great path precepts and a peak divine weapon was peerless and terrifying. For a moment, with a crack, this part of the world was shot through, and a huge void tunnel appeared. What a terrifying arrow! Young master, the quasi-emperor of the heavenly demon sect, Yi Luoxiao's expression changed. He could clearly feel that this arrow was a great threat to the heavenly demon puppet. Immediately, he released a vast amount of demonic light toward the great path killing arrow shot by Lin Tian. Don't get in the way, Lin Tianling said. On his shoulder, the little Taichu called out in a childish voice. With a wave of its little paw, a six-colored divine light floated toward Iluoshao. The six-colored divine light did not have any terrifying power. It only had a faint divine aura, but it was as vast as the starry sky. "No!" Iluoshao screamed. With a poof, he turned into ashes. At this time, with a rumble, Lin Tian's great path-killing arrow approached the heavenly demon puppet's body that had not yet reformed. With a poof, it pierced through again, and blood splattered everywhere. "Ah!" The heavenly demon puppet roared. Demonic lights surged. Lin Tian was expressionless. He just stood in the distance. Once again, he pulled the divine bow to the full moon and released it with all his strength. With a rumble, the third great path-killing arrow appeared. Black lightning and the demonic dragon's soul shadow coexisted, shaking the nine heavens. Poof! Before the heavenly demon puppet's body could reform, it was hit again. Its spirit was almost shattered, but it still did not die. The rolling demonic light was still vast and mighty, and the blood mist quickly surged toward the center. "Damn it!" he roared. Before his body could reform, a huge demonic shadow appeared. It towered between heaven and earth and pressed down on Lin Tian. Immediately, the entire heaven and earth trembled. Its power was terrifying. This little bastard took 3 of Brat Lin's most powerful great path-killing arrows and still didn't die. His strength is unquestionable. There are probably not many under half-step emperor level that can be his opponent. Wuxing Crocodile said. Ling Yan nodded. He is very strong. In the sky, Lin Tian stared indifferently at the heavenly demon puppet. Even though they were mortal enemies, he had to admit that the other party was indeed very strong. Few people could be his opponent. He stared at the other party. Without any hesitation, he pulled the divine bow again. The fourth great path-killing arrow formed. With a whoosh, it flew straight toward the heavenly demon puppet that had yet to reform its body. Immediately after, he pulled the bow again and shot out the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th great path-killing arrow. They were all terrifyingly strong. At the same time, the speed of these arrows was also very fast. They directly shattered the demonic shadow that the heavenly demon puppet summoned. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in front of the heavenly demon puppet's body. Pooh! 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 Waves of blood splashed out as the heavenly devil puppet let out a miserable shriek. Its flesh and blood had been completely destroyed, and only its spirit had survived. It would be difficult to reform its body in a short period of time, and this spirit that had survived was covered in cracks, as if it would shatter at the slightest touch. Lin Tian, the heavenly demon puppet's soul roared, full of anger. Lin Tian's expression was very calm. He pulled the bowstring again, and the 9th great path-killing arrow was formed in the blink of an eye. "Goodbye," he said indifferently and let go of the bowstring. Immediately, with a whoosh, the 9th great path-killing arrow was covered in dense black lightning. It carried the demonic dragon's soul shadow and intertwined with his nameless great path. In the blink of an eye, it rushed in front of the heavenly demon puppet's soul and drowned it with a boom. "Ah!" the heavenly demon puppet roared. In the next moment, its voice disappeared and its aura also dissipated. Its body and soul were destroyed. The heavenly demon puppet is dead. The crowd of cultivators was shocked. Compared to the death of the quasi-emperor Iluoshao, the death of the heavenly demon puppet was obviously more frightening. This was because the heavenly demon puppet was the young master of the heavenly demon sect and the next master of the heavenly demon sect. He was the second person in the history of the heavenly demon sect to be bestowed with the surname Heavenly Demon. He was definitely an existence that could step into the emperor realm and might even surpass the founder of the sect. To the heavenly demon sect, he was much more important than Iluoshao. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the treasure of the heavenly demon sect. But now, such a heavenly demon puppet was killed. This was a great loss to the heavenly demon sect. Good kill. Awesome. Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun laughed heartily. After all, the heavenly demon puppet was very arrogant when it appeared. It said that it wanted to kill Lin Tian and seize Lin Tian's pure yang flame. Now that it was killed by Lin Tian personally, it was naturally very satisfying. Buzz! At this moment, the void suddenly buzzed and rumbled. The young supremes of the three great forces, the Saint Yin Yang sect, the Shrine of Desolation, and the Immortal Sword Island, each took out a jade platform one after another. It was a top-grade teleportation formation that could cross the heavenly domain. Strands of light intertwined and wrapped around the quasi-emperors of each faction. On Lin Tian's shoulder, Little Rascal saw the young supremes of the three great forces take out the heavenly domain teleportation formation and called out in a childish voice. Suddenly, a formless and colorless aura intertwined, like a breeze blowing in all directions. Whoosh! 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 The heavenly domain teleportation formations of the Saint Yin Yang sect and the other two supremes shattered at the same time and turned into ashes. For a moment, the three supremes and the quasi-emperors trembled again. Far away, the other cultivators were even more frightened. They looked at the little Taichu with even more fear in their eyes and shrunk their necks. "It's so scary," someone said in a trembling voice. Just a casual call was enough to destroy three heavenly domain teleportation formations. This kind of power was really terrifying. Lin Tian looked at the people of the three great forces and stood still. His expression was still indifferent, and there were no fluctuations in his emotions. "Young man, everything is negotiable. Let us go, and our sect will definitely reward you generously. Also, we will definitely not make things difficult for you after this." A quasi-emperor from the Immortal Sword Island said to Lin Tian in a deep voice, "You have already killed a quasi-emperor from our sect. Can you take this as atonement for our Saint Yin Yang sect? From now on, our sect will definitely not offend you." A quasi-emperor from the Saint Yin Yang sect said. A quasi-emperor from the Shrine of Desolation said in a deep voice, "As long as you don't kill us, the Shrine of Desolation is willing to give up the eternal killing formation and never be your enemy again. We will not bother you anymore." At this moment, the quasi-emperors of the three great forces were very clear about the current situation. The little Taichu beside Lin Tian definitely had the strength of a martial emperor. It was too easy for him to kill them. At this time, they had no choice but to temporarily lower their heads in order to save their lives. Lin Tian looked at the experts of the three great forces and couldn't help but sneer. Chapter 11:16. Lin Tian's voice was calm and indifferent, with undisguised mockery, causing the faces of the quasi-emperors of the three major forces to turn ashen. At the same time, the expressions of the three young sovereigns, the Yin Yang Holy Sun, the Immortal Sword Sun, and the Desolate Divine Sun, also became very ugly. They stared at Lin Tian with a hint of coldness in the depths of their eyes. A quasi-emperor powerhouse of the Immortal Sword Island spoke in a solemn voice. "Young man, don't go too far in everything. It's wise to stop when the time is right. It's not wise to act only for a moment of pleasure." Lin Tian tilted his head and sneered. "Lowering your head and begging for mercy didn't work, so you started to threaten me? Other than threatening others, you big powers are really useless in every other aspect. You're a complete mess." The face of the quasi-emperor of the Immortal Sword Island who spoke became even more ashen. He was a dignified quasi-emperor powerhouse who had lived for more than 10,000 years, but now he was being mocked by a young cultivator of the latter era. "Junior, you are too arrogant. Enough. You are too noisy," Lin Tiantan said coldly, directly interrupting the quasi-emperor of the Immortal Sword Island. Immediately, on his shoulder, the little Taichu waved its little paw again, and a six-colored divine light shrouded the quasi-emperor. "Ah!" The quasi-emperor of the Immortal Sword Island let out a scream of horror, and in the blink of an eye, he was turned into ashes by the six-colored divine light. Another quasi-emperor died. In the distance, a group of cultivators stared at the little Taichu on Lin Tian's shoulder in horror. How long has it been? 4 quasi-emperors have been killed in a row, and all of them were just a simple paw attack. This is so satisfying. Whooshing Crocodile laughed wildly. Ling Yin was also excited. He couldn't help but rub his hands together. Uncle Ling has a strong intuition that we can walk sideways in the ninth heaven in the future. With this little guy here, even if a Chaos Emperor comes, we won't have to worry too much. In the sky, Lin Tian stood there calmly, glancing at the quasi-emperors and young primes of the desolate shrine. Then, his gaze landed on the two quasi-emperors of the desolate shrine and the desolate shrine. I've heard that the desolate shrine has gathered the strongest formation masters of countless eras to construct a boundless, immortal heavenly formation. You want to cooperate with the so-called force of life to break through the barrier of the 10th layer of heaven in the near future. What? All of the cultivators in the area were shocked, gathering countless powerful formation manipulators to construct the immortal heavenly formation. Are they trying to break through the 10th heaven? The desolate shrine, is doing such a thing? Many cultivators were shocked. Legend has it that the 10th layer of heaven contains the secret of eternal life. As long as one breaks through the 10th layer, they will be able to understand the secret of eternal life and reach the realm of immortality. This is the lifelong pursuit of all cultivators. However, breaking through the barrier of the 10th heavenly layer was too difficult. In the known history books, there seemed to be no one who had broken through the 10th heavenly layer. Now that they heard that the desolate shrine was planning to break through the 10th heavenly layer with the power of countless array manipulators, it naturally caused the crowd of cultivators to turn pale with fright. After all, this matter was related to eternal life, so no one would not care. For a long time, it has been rumored that the desolate shrine is very mysterious, and they are always trying to win over various formation manipulators. It turns out that they are building the immortal heavenly formation to break through the 10th layer of heaven. What a big ambition! That the force of life, what is it? Many cultivators were surprised. At this time, even the quasi-emperors of the Yin-Yang sect and the Immortal Sword Island were shocked. Obviously, they were not aware of this matter. The two quasi-emperors of the Desolate Shrine and the Desolate Divine Sun were shocked, and wisps of cold light appeared in their eyes. One must know that building the immortal heavenly formation to break through the 10th layer of heaven was the top secret of the Desolate Shrine. One of the quasi-emperors gritted his teeth. How do you know about this? I want to know, so I know. Lin Tiandao. This was something he learned from the divine master of the Black Country in the first heaven. The other party seemed to have some relationship with a great figure in the Shrine of Desolation, so he knew about this matter. In addition, the other party had great personal ambitions and wanted to control the behemoth of the Shrine of Desolation in the later era. Therefore, after discovering his powerful talent as an array manipulator, he wanted to rope him in. After he made a fake oath, he secretly revealed this matter to him. All of this was to pull him into his camp by using the fact that he could obtain the secret of immortality by breaking through the 10th heavenly layer. He looked at the three quasi-emperors of the Desolate Shrine and learned another thing. The Desolate Shrine had learned about his control of the eternal killing formation through the death of that person, but they didn't know that the other party had also told him about this matter at that time. Gradually, his eyes became cold again because, at that time, he learned another thing from that person. The immortal heavenly formation constructed by the Desolate Shrine in the future uses the power of all living beings to activate the formation. In fact, the power of all living beings is the life and blood souls of countless living beings. They use the life and souls of countless living beings as the source power to activate the immortal heavenly formation. The person who went to the Desolate Shrine in the first heaven was there to collect the so-called power of all living beings. He had seen with his own eyes the blood souls of countless innocent people who had lost their lives and were struggling with hatred. One day, I will go to your desolate shrine and destroy your immortal heavenly formation, he said in a cold voice to the little Taichu. Kill them. In essence, he didn't think that he was a good person, but at the very least, he still had a bottom line. The desolate shrine had killed countless living beings to activate the immortal heavenly formation. This kind of behavior was really unbearable to him. Even though the people who were killed had nothing to do with him, it still made him angry. The two quasi-emperors and the desolate divine child of the desolate shrine all paled. At this time, Lin Tian's words of kill them were like a death sentence issued by the king of hell. Stop! Ya! On Lin Tian's shoulder, the little Taichu called out in a childish voice, waving its little paws casually. Suddenly, a large expanse of six-colored divine light descended from the sky, enveloping the two quasi-emperors and the desolate divine child of the desolate shrine in the blink of an eye. Chi! 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 Three crisp sounds were heard, and the two quasi-emperors and the desolate divine child of the desolate shrine instantly turned into ashes. Such a scene made the crowd of cultivators extremely far away tremble violently, and many people couldn't help but tremble violently. Two quasi-emperors and the desolate divine child of the desolate shrine, the next master of the desolate shrine, just like that. Many people's hearts trembled. Not to mention the two quasi-emperors. The significance of the desolation godchild to the desolation shrine was astonishing. It was the same as the significance of the heavenly demon puppet to the heavenly demon sect. He was a peerless genius of the desolation shrine, and was very likely to surpass the founder of the desolation shrine in the future. Now, the desolate divine child had been killed here, and this was a great loss for the desolate shrine. It was equivalent to the future pillar of the desolate shrine being destroyed prematurely. The crowd of cultivators was all horrified. Lin Tian stood in the sky, his expression still indifferent, looking at the two quasi-emperors and two young supreme beings of the immortal Sword Island and the Yin-Yang sect. For a moment, the quasi-emperors and young supreme beings of the two great forces couldn't help but tremble, fear rising in their eyes. Little brother, have mercy. We swear that we won't offend you in the future. If we go back on our words, may the heavens and earth destroy us. The last quasi-emperor of the Yin-Yang sect said anxiously. On the other side, the quasi-emperors of the immortal Sword Island, who were still alive, also begged for mercy, their attitude extremely humble. After the human weapon of the great extinguishing shrine, Lung Can, was killed, and they each lost a quasi-emperor. The people of the heavenly demon sect and the desolate shrine were all killed, including the young masters and divine children of the two great forces. This made the quasi-emperors of the immortal Sword Island and the Yin-Yang sect who were still alive feel a chill down their spines, and even their hearts were cold. Do you think it's possible to let you go? Lin Tian Ondao said. His indifferent voice made the quasi-emperors of the two great forces tremble, and the fear in their eyes became even more intense. The Yin-Yang saint stared at Lin Tian, his eyes intertwined with intense yin and yang light. He said in a deep voice, "You and I will fight one-on-one. If I win, you let us go. If I lose, you can kill me." He took a step forward, and yin and yang divine light surged around his body. Lin Tian looked at the Yin-Yang saint and smiled indifferently. "Do you have the right to make such a request?" He looked at the other party and said. The Yin-Yang saint snorted coldly, and the yin and yang divine light around his body became even more intense. He stared at Lin Tian and said, "You don't dare? You're afraid of losing to me?" Lin Tian sneered. "The four of you so-called young supremes of the same generation ganged up on me and were sent flying by me. Now you have the nerve to say such words. Do you have any shame?" The Yin-Yang saint's face instantly turned pale, and he felt a strong sense of humiliation. All right, you talk too much. You'd better die obediently," Lin Tian said. On his shoulder, the little Taichu acted at the right time. He waved his six-colored divine light and directly enveloped the Yin-Yang saint. At the same time, it also enveloped the last quasi-emperor of the Yin-Yang sect. Lin Tian, the Yin-Yang saint, screamed unwillingly, and with a whoosh, he disintegrated into ashes. At the same time, the quasi-emperor beside him was also destroyed, turning into ashes amidst a scream of horror. Suddenly, of the people from the great forces, only the quasi-emperor of the immortal Sword Island and the sword son of this faction were left. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked at the two of them. For a moment, the quasi-emperor of this faction and the immortal sword son trembled. The quasi-emperor expert said anxiously, "Little brother, don't be rash. Everything is fine. Little guy do it? Lin Tian said to the little Taichu, interrupting the quasi-emperor. Yeah. Chapter 11:17. The entire Taichu immortal ridge became deathly silent. Even the air seemed to have stopped flowing. It was extremely stifling. Dead, all dead, some cultivators trembled. The young sect master of the heavenly demon divine sect, and a quasi-emperor of this lineage. The saint of the yin-yang sect, and two quasi-emperors of this lineage. The sword son of the immortal sword island, and two quasi-emperors of this lineage. The divine son of the desolate shrine, and two quasi-emperors of this lineage, as well as the humanoid weapon cultivated by the myriad extinguishing divine dynasty 2,000 years ago, the truly invincible quasi-emperors below the emperor level. All of them had been killed in the Taichu immortal ridge. Lin Tian's expression was very calm as he looked at the little Taichu on his shoulder. Little guy, you're so powerful. He smiled. Yeah. Little Taichu responded in a childish voice. Its big, watery eyes curved into a crescent shape as it intimately rubbed against Lin Tian. Whooshing Crocodile chuckled and leaned over with Ling Yun. This battle is really 2F asterisk king satisfying. The future masters of a few top forces have all been killed. This is much more valuable than killing a few half-step emperors and quasi-emperors. I agree. Ling Yun laughed loudly. The man and Crocodile stared at the little Taichu with excitement. This little guy was really too powerful. Although the six-colored divine light didn't have a terrifying aura, it was ridiculously powerful. It was as if it could sweep away everything in the world. Little Taichu called out to the man and Crocodile. It shook the wings on its back and lay on Lin Tian's head again. Lin Tian smiled and scanned the surroundings. Then he called out to Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun to leave. They walked out of the Taichu Immortal Ridge. Because this place was not far from the edge of the Taichu Immortal Ridge, and the cultivation of the group was very strong, their speed was very fast just by walking casually. Therefore, they walked out in the blink of an eye and disappeared into the horizon not long after. At this moment, all the cultivators in the distance were still staring fixedly at the direction Lin Tian had left in. All of their faces were filled with shock, and there were even some who couldn't help but shiver repeatedly and were unable to recover from their shock. The humanoid weapon of the great extinguishing god dynasty, the quasi-emperor experts of the primordial shrine, and the other top forces. Most importantly, the holy sons, divine sons, and young masters of the four forces, the future masters, were all killed. Someone shuddered. No matter which era it was, no matter which level of heaven it was, a godson or saint son of a top force was an incomparably important existence. They were the core hope of the sect's future. Once such a person died, it would undoubtedly be an incomparably tragic blow to the sect's inheritance. It was equivalent to burying the sect's core support in the future era. Now, the Yin-Yang Holy Church, the Immortal Sword Island, the Desolate Divine Temple, and the Heavenly Demon Divine Sect have all been killed. This matter is too big. Since ancient times, there has never been a case where the holy princes and holy princes of four top forces were killed in the same day in the ninth heaven. This is simply unprecedented. It can be said to be a super earthquake. Because of this matter, many cultivators could imagine the reaction of the top forces after learning of this matter. They would definitely go crazy. Of course, these people were also shocked by the power of the little Taichu, recalling the wisps of six-colored divine light. What the hell is that? It's too strong. Is it some kind of ancient beast? But I don't seem to have seen any records of such a beast. But it's too terrifying. It's definitely in the Emperor level. Many people trembled. In any case, this is going to turn the heavens upside down. Someone's heart palpitated. After that, everything that happened in this place spread like a lightning bird with wings. In the blink of an eye, it spread throughout the ninth heaven and the four main regions. Everyone knew about it. Suddenly, the world was shocked. The humanoid weapon of the great extinguishing god dynasty, and the quasi-emperors of the top forces were killed. And the young master of the demon divine sect, the Yin-Yang Holy Sun, the primordial divine sun, and the immortal sword sun were all killed. How is this possible? The divine sons and holy sons of the four top forces, including the yin-yang holy sect and the primordial divine palace, were all killed on the same day. This news was too shocking. When many cultivators first heard this, they thought there was something wrong with their ears. However, when they saw the divine consciousness imprints that someone produced, they were instantly dumbfounded. It's true. It's true. The yin-yang holy son and the other three were really killed. It's related to that Lin Tian. It's that guy again. That Lin Tian has an emperor-level beast with him. That little beast, well, what is it? How can it be so strong? There's no record of it in the ancient books. Many cultivators were shocked. Looking at the divine consciousness imprints that someone produced, many cultivators were shocked. Many cultivators were shocked that the yin-yang holy son and the other three young supremes were killed because of Lin Tian. They were also shocked by the mysterious strength of the little beast beside Lin Tian. Then, many cultivators gradually became confused. Did the yin-yang holy sect, the heavenly demon divine sect, the immortal sword island, and the primordial divine palace also have a grudge against Lin Tian like the great extinguishing divine dynasty? Why were the quasi-emperors and young supremes of these four great forces killed so ruthlessly? Then, something slowly surfaced, and news spread rapidly in the ninth heaven. The yin-yang holy sect wants to seize the Sun Heart Sutra. The immortal sword island wants to seize the High Heaven Sword Sutra. The primordial divine palace wants to seize the eternal killing formation, and the young master of the heavenly demon divine sect wants to seize the pure yang flame. That Lin Tian. Forget about the pure yang flame. The Sun Heart Sutra was created by the Solar Celestial Venerable. The High Heaven Sword Sutra was created by the Sword Venerable, and the Eternal Killing Formation was created by the Formation Emperor Celestial Venerable. That Lin Tian, he alone controlled so many celestial venerable ancient scriptures. Many cultivators were shocked. The 9 great heavenly venerables were the 9 most powerful existences recorded in the history books of the 10 Directions celestial domain. Each of them possessed heaven-defying methods. The ancient scriptures created by these 9 people were all extremely valuable. Just a little of them could be used for a lifetime. Now, Lin Tian alone actually controlled the ancient scriptures of 3 great heavenly venerables. This was simply too shocking. Where did he collect these inheritances? Some of the older half-step emperors trembled in fear. The entire ninth heaven was completely shaken. Every corner of the cultivation world was discussing Lin Tian's matter, the celestial venerable ancient scriptures, and the mysterious emperor grade little beast. Then, gradually, many cultivators' thoughts returned to the initial shock. The young supremes of the 4 great forces were killed. The great extinguishing divine dynasty, the yin-yang holy sect, the desolate divine palace, the immortal sword island, and the heavenly demon divine sect won't let this matter go. Someone murmured, Western region, in the vast immortal mountains, in the desolate divine palace. Damn it, damn it. An angry roar came from the window of the central divine palace. Inside the palace, the current palace lord's eyes were bloodshot. His killing intent shattered the sky, and a faint emperor's pressure interweaved in the sky. At the same time, there were several other great figures in this divine palace. All of them were shocked and angry to the extreme. They knew that Lin Tian had arrived in the ninth heaven, and they knew that Lin Tian had the eternal killing array. Their faction wanted to seize it. The most talented young supremes of this generation and 2 quasi-emperors went out together to seize it, but they didn't expect that the 2 quasi-emperors would die, and the most talented young supremes would also die. This loss was simply too great. That bastard actually has an emperor-grade beast around him. In the central hall, a great figure gritted his teeth and said, "Report this matter to the old ancestors. We must kill him. We must seize the eternal killing array. We must." The eyes of the current palace lord of this faction were bloodshot. Almost at the same time, the great extinguishing divine dynasty, the immortal sword island, the Saint Yin-yang sect, and the heavenly demon divine sect were enraged. Their killing intent intertwined and surged like stormy waves, shaking the 9 heavens. Time flew by. and 3 days passed. At this time, Lin Tianyi and the others were walking on a green mountain. They seemed somewhat casual, and their pace was very gentle. The great extinguishing divine dynasty should be crying. As for the Yin-Yang sect, the immortal Sword Island, the desolate divine palace, and the heavenly demon divine sect, they are probably going crazy. Whooshing Crocodile laughed. In the past 3 days, the ninth heaven was once again boiling with excitement. Every corner was talking about how a quasi-emperor of the great extinguishing divine dynasty was killed, and the young supremes of the Yin-Yang sect and the other 3 great forces were slaughtered. It's all thanks to the little Taichu. Lin Tian smiled. Ling Yan had the same feeling. That's not bad. It was all thanks to the little Taichu's strength that they were able to kill several quasi-emperors and the young supremes of the 4 great forces. Otherwise, the final outcome may be completely different. Yeah. When the little Taichu heard Lin Tian and Ling Yun mention it, it called out in a childish voice, and its big eyes were very beautiful. Lin Tian chuckled, thinking that the little guy was really cute. Come to think of it, the few top forces like the myriad extinguishing God dynasty and the Yin-Yang sect will definitely not let this matter rest. After knowing that little Taichu is with us, the next time someone attacks us, it will probably be an emperor-level figure. Whooshing Crocodile glanced at the little Taichu on top of Lin Tian's head and said, although this little guy is indeed very powerful and should have the strength of an emperor-level character, it's hard to say exactly how powerful it is. If several great forces send emperor-level masters to attack us together, it will still be dangerous for us. We have to think about this matter carefully. Lin Tian nodded when he heard this. He felt that Whooshing Crocodile's words were very reasonable. Indeed, we have to think about this matter carefully. Boom! At this moment, not far away, a tyrannical fluctuation of divine power swept out, and various different laws intertwined. Lin Tian frowned. He turned his head and saw a divine light spreading more than 1,000 meters away. A dozen people were chasing after a young girl in a green dress and an old middle-aged man. All of them had cold expressions on their faces. That is... Chapter 11:18. Looking at the girl in the silk dress and the old man in the distance, Lin Tian naturally wouldn't forget that they were Yin and Master Clairvoyant, whom he had met in the 3rd heaven. Back then, because of him, they had been captured and threatened by the 7 Luminaries Empire. Now, it had been nearly 10 years since then. He didn't expect to see them here. Whooshing Crocodile met Lin Tian's gaze. Kid, an acquaintance? Yes. Lin Tian nodded and stepped into the distance. At this time, Yin and Master Clairvoyant were being chased by more than 10 people. The situation was not optimistic, especially Master Clairvoyant. He felt that the other party's life fluctuations seemed to be about to stop, and he was a little anxious. He admired the old man a lot. Back then, the 7 Luminaries Empire had captured Yin and threatened her with her life to deduce his whereabouts. However, the old man did not give in. He was an extremely righteous and upright person. He was unwilling to see the old man suffer any harm. Boom! In front of them, divine power surged and all kinds of killing lights intertwined. There were sharp blade lights flying in all directions, and the momentum was terrifying. Master Clairvoyant, why struggle? Tell us the location of the Tianji dojo, and we won't make things difficult for you and your disciple. More than 10 people chased after Master Clairvoyant and Yin Yabur. Their eyes were cold, and their voices were cold. The auras of more than 10 people were very fierce, and each of them was intertwined with nirvana-level fluctuations. Their divine power was like a mountain. Master Clairvoyant was as pale as ever, without a trace of blood. Tell him to give up. Master Clairvoyant's voice was weak, but it carried a will that was as strong as divine iron. Yin Er's eyes were filled with worry. The great path surrounded her body, and all kinds of path light danced around her. It was like a Ruashian spiritual warrior guarding her body. She flew with Master Clairvoyant, blocking the killing lights of more than 10 people. Let's go. Don't worry about me. If this continues, we will all die. You can leave safely by yourself? Master Clairvoyant said weakly. Yin shook her head. How could she abandon her master and escape alone. The path light around her body became denser, and the great path in all directions roared. More than 10 people chased after her. As expected of an immortal spirit body, only half-step nirvana level. One of them said in a deep voice. Among them, the weakest one was in the second layer of nirvana realm, and there were even a few in the fifth layer of nirvana realm. With such a force, they couldn't suppress Yin and Master Clairvoyant even after a long time. Tao lights danced around Yin weakening their godly power and disrupting their rhythm. However, he is only a half-step to nirvana stage cultivator after all. Divine Diviner, tell us the location of the Tianji Dojo. Divine Diviner is your senior brother, and he has the same teacher as you. If he obtains the divine item from the Tianji Dojo, he will definitely be able to bring glory to the Tianji clan. Tell us, and we will turn around and leave. We will not harm your lives. The expressions of the dozen or so people were ice-cold. With his temperament, would he agree to let us go? Would he allow someone with the celestial spirit king physique to live and surpass him? After finding out everything, kill them all. That's the order he gave you. Master Clairvoyant's voice was weak. It was rare for him to say so much. Let him give up. Even if the Tianji clan is destroyed, we will not let the Tianji divine mirror fall into his hands. Hearing this, the dozen or so people's faces darkened. Coldness intertwined in their eyes. Attack with all your might. Form the 1,000-saber formation. Suppress her and bring her back. One of them said coldly, boom, boom, boom. More than 10 streams of tyrannical divine power gushed out. At this moment, the 10 people were each in a special position. In the blink of an eye, their auras condensed together. The terrifying power directly sealed off the surrounding area, blocking Yin-Er's path. In an instant, the Tao lights outside Yin-Er's body trembled and shattered one after another. They couldn't stop the condensed godly power of the dozen or so people. After all, although she had the immortal spirit king body, her cultivation level was too low compared to the dozen or so people. Now that the dozen or so people had condensed their power together with a special formation, she naturally couldn't resist it. She couldn't even escape. The dozen or so people's expressions were cold. Together, the godly light spread out and sealed off the surroundings. One of them looked at Master Clairvoyant and Yin-Er and said, "You too, if you don't want to suffer for nothing, you'd better not resist. Come back with us." Clang! The ear-piercing sound of a sword resounded in all directions. A golden, godly sword pierced through the air. It was extremely sharp. With a swoosh, it tore open the godly light circle that sealed Master Clairvoyant and Yin-Er. Then, without slowing down, it pierced into the chest of the man who spoke. Instantly, blood splashed everywhere. It was a ghastly sight. Everyone turned pale. "Who is it?" Among the dozen or so people, someone shouted angrily. Clang! 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 The sound of the sword was like a hurricane sweeping over. It arrived in the blink of an eye. Puff! 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 The dozen or so people who sealed Master Clairvoyant and Yin-Er all suffered. Even the fifth sky of Nirvana realm cultivators were no exception. They were all pierced by the sword radiance. Blood flowed out. In the distance, Lin Tian arrived. Stepping on the void, he appeared beside Master Clairvoyant and Yin-Er in a flash. "Senior, Monsieur, a long time no see." He greeted the master and disciple with a smile. Lin Tian's Yin-Er was shocked. Although there was a lot of dust on her body, her beautiful face was still difficult to conceal. On the contrary, there was a kind of contradictory beauty. Even Master Clairvoyant was surprised. "Little brother, why are you here?" In fact, Master Clairvoyant and Yin-Er had been in the ninth heaven for some time. During these days, they had heard all kinds of things about Lin Tian. They knew that Lin Tian was also in the ninth heaven, but they were still a little surprised to meet him here. "I just happened to pass by." Lin Tian smiled and said. Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun followed and looked at Master Clairvoyant and Yin-Er. Immediately, Ling Yun's eyes lit up. His gaze fell on Yin-Er's body, and he rushed over. Peerless beauty. Lin Tian glanced at him and directly slapped him away. Kid you, Ling Yun's angry voice came from not far away. Boom! At this time, tyrannical divine energy intertwined, causing the void to rumble. The dozen or so people who were pierced by Lin Tian's sword radiance repaired their bodies. They were all shocked and angry. They all looked at Lin Tian with murderous intent. However, in the next moment, when they saw Lin Tian's face, their faces changed. It's you. The dozen or so people were shocked. In the past few days, Lin Tian had caused a great commotion in the ninth heaven. First, he killed 9 half-step emperors and hundreds of powerful assassins of the great extinguishing divine dynasty. Not long ago, he killed several quasi-emperors in succession. At the same time, he also slaughtered the divine princes and holy princes of the Yin-Yang sect, Immortal Sword Island, Desolate Shrine, and Heavenly Demon Divine sect. It was rumored that he had an emperor-level beast by his side. At this time, the dozen or so people saw Lin Tian, and they all felt a little scared. Lin Tian tilted his head and glanced at the dozen or so people. His expression was very calm, but it made the dozen or so people tremble involuntarily. One of the 5th heavenly layer powerhouses opened his mouth and said, "We are the people of the legendary Saber Pavilion. We were ordered to bring Master Clairvoyant and his disciple back. May I ask what is your relationship with him?" Lin Tian looked at this person and said, "Legacy of the Saber Pavilion. Are you trying to intimidate me with these words?" The legendary Saber Pavilion, like the Yin-Yang sect and the great extinguishing divine dynasty, was one of the top forces in the ninth heaven. "No, there's no such thing. Your Excellency has misunderstood," the 5th heavenly layer powerhouse said. He took a deep look at Lin Tian and Yin Yer, who was behind Lin Tian. He took a deep breath and said to the other dozen or so people, "Let's go." At this time, it wasn't difficult for this person to see that Lin Tian and Master Clairvoyant must have a good relationship. In that case, it was obviously impossible for them to capture Master Clairvoyant and his disciple today. After all, Lin Tian's strength was very terrifying. He was even more tyrannical than the heavenly demon puppet, the young master of the heavenly demon divine sect. Moreover, there was a mysterious emperor-level beast by his side. If they tried to snatch Yin Yer in front of Lin Tian, it was simply courting death. Clang! A sword chi swept out, shattering the void and stopping the dozen or so people. "Who allowed you to leave?" Lin Tian said coldly. The dozen or so people trembled. The 5th heavenly layer powerhouse looked at Lin Tian and said in a deep voice, "Your Excellency, we don't seem to have provoked you, right? Provoking my friend is provoking me," Lin Tian said in a domineering tone. Back then, because of him, Yin Yer was captured by the 7 Luminaries Empire and used to threaten Master Clairvoyant. Even then, Master Clairvoyant didn't yield and divined his whereabouts for the 7 Luminaries Empire. He respected and admired Master Clairvoyant very much. He didn't spend much time with Yin Yer, but he had long regarded her as a friend. Now that the master and disciple were being hunted down like this, he naturally wouldn't be happy. The dozen or so people's faces turned ugly when they heard this. "Your Excellency, our legendary Saber Pavilion is not easy to bully. You're too overbearing. What do you want?" one of them said in a deep voice. Lin Tian tilted his head and looked at Yin Yer, who was covered in dirt. He then looked at the godly diviner, whose face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Lin Tian turned his head and looked at the dozen people. "Nothing much, I just wanted to kill you." The dozen or so people trembled. You boom! A violent aura spread out from Lin Tian's body. The golden divine light was vast and mighty, and the towering heaven sword light shot into the sky. It was a terrifying sight. He took a step forward, and the dense towering heaven sword light appeared and enveloped the dozen or so people at the same time. He slashed down mercilessly. He knew Master Clairvoyant very well. He was a very upright person, while Yin Yer was fresh, refined, and very quiet. Since the dozen or so people from the legendary Saber Pavilion were chasing after Master Clairvoyant and Yin Yer, he didn't need to think and directly put them on the list of evil people. At this moment, he attacked mercilessly. The golden towering heaven sword light was powerful and unparalleled. In an instant, a large part of the void was shattered, and the sword wind swept out in all directions. Poof! 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 Chapter 11:19. Blood mist floated in the air as the 3-second Heaven Nirvana stage cultivators were killed. The other cultivators from the legendary Saber Pavilion trembled violently. No matter what, he was still a second heavenly layer Nirvana expert, and he was actually killed by Lin Tian so easily. You've gone too far. The cultivators were shocked and furious. When you're chasing others and thinking of killing them, you'll never think of going too far. Lin Tiandao. The faces of the cultivators from the legendary Saber Pavilion turned ashen. They could not find any words to refute him. At the same time, they were terrified. Lin Tian snorted and took a step forward. Towering sword lights danced in the sky and clanged loudly. In an instant, the sharp sword chi rushed to the 9 heavens and scattered the clouds in the sky. It completely enveloped the remaining 12 cultivators from the legendary Saber Pavilion and slashed them indiscriminately. Poof! 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 In the blink of an eye, another 3 cultivators were slashed into pieces. Only their divine souls were left as they fled into the distance. However, as soon as the 3 divine souls rushed out, they met the 3 golden swords and were all shattered. Another 3 Nirvana stage cultivators were killed. Lin Tian, you've already offended 5 of the top forces in the 10 heavens territory. If you offend the legendary Saber Pavilion, it won't do you any good. A 5th heaven Nirvana stage cultivator gritted his teeth. You said it yourself. I've already offended 5 of the top forces in the 10 heavens territory. Now, I'm afraid of the legendary Saber Pavilion. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. He never took the initiative to provoke others. However, if someone provoked him or his friends, he would definitely retaliate. Even if the other party was a god, he would not care at all. He stepped forward and appeared in front of the 5th heaven Nirvana stage cultivator in the blink of an eye. He directly punched him. With a dong sound, the sky shook, and the space in all directions collapsed. You poof! The 5th sky of Nirvana realm warrior who spoke was directly smashed into pieces by the punch. Only his soul managed to escape, but it was covered in cracks. Lin Tian slapped out with the back of his hand. With a faint glow of the Tao, he shattered the soul into pieces with a swish. Amazing! Behind him, Yin Yi-Er's eyes lit up. Although he had heard that Lin Tian was a powerhouse and had even seen someone use spiritual consciousness engraving, he still couldn't help but be surprised when he saw it with his own eyes. After all, there was a huge difference between seeing it through someone else's divine sense imprint and seeing it with one's own eyes. Of the dozen or so people from the legendary Saber Pavilion, only 8 remained. At this moment, their hearts were palpitating and cold sweat trickled down their foreheads. They were all shocked by Lin Tian's terrifying strength. A person at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm was actually killed so easily. Split up. One of them gritted his teeth. The other 7 nodded. Lin Tian was too powerful. If everyone fled in the same direction, they would definitely be caught in one fell swoop. If they split up, there might still be someone who could survive. Whoosh! 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 The 8 of them fled in 8 different directions at top speed. Lin Tian snorted and raised his left hand. The peak high-grade sacred artifact, the immortal slaying bow, appeared in his hand, and he pulled the bowstring. Buzz! Spiritual power rolled in from all directions, and he infused it with his own great path precepts. In an instant, 8 arrows of divine light appeared on the bowstring. Each arrow was 3 feet long, and each arrow was filled with an extremely powerful killing aura. He stared at the 8 people who fled and released the bowstring in his hand. In an instant, 8 murderous arrows shot out. 8 spatial tunnels were pierced through the void. Then, in the next moment, 8 arrows were behind the 8 people in the blink of an eye. Poof! 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 8 mists of blood splattered. The 8 people were shot to pieces at the same time. Among them, 5 of them were destroyed in body and soul. The other three were lucky enough to not be destroyed because of their powerful cultivation. With a look of fear, they fled into the distance again. Humph! Lin Tian raised his hand and pulled the bowstring again. Another 3 arrows of the great Tao appeared and shot towards the 3 souls. The 3 arrows arrived in the blink of an eye, shattering the souls of the 3 with a sizzling sound, causing them to vanish into thin air in an instant. This place quieted down in an instant. Lin Tian put away the immortal slaying bow, turned around, and walked back to the marvelous mathematician and his disciple. So powerful! Yin Yip blinked. More than a dozen Nirvana realm cultivators had been killed by Lin Tian in such a short time. Lin Tian chuckled. Well, it's barely okay. Excessive modesty is a sign of pride. Yin Yip giggled. After so many years, there was no sense of estrangement between her and Lin Tian. Although there was a lot of dust on her body, her aura was still very ethereal. She couldn't help but show a different kind of charm as she laughed. She said to Lin Tian, "Thank you. We are friends. This is what I should do." Lin Tian smiled. Ling Yin had already run back. At this time, he rolled his eyes and said, "Boy, I think your smile is very evil. Tell me honestly, do you want to hit on the girl?" Hearing this, Lin Tian immediately wanted to kick him. "Little brother, thank you very much." At this time, the marvelous mathematician came forward and bowed slightly to Lin Tian. Lin Tian hurriedly stopped him from bowing and straightened the marvelous mathematician's body. "Senior, you can't do this." The marvelous mathematician was one of the few people he respected. He was also an elder. How could he accept such a big bow from him? The marvelous mathematician chuckled and looked at Lin Tiandao. "You are still as dazzling as before. Seeing you again really cough." As he spoke, he suddenly trembled and directly coughed out a mouthful of blood. His already very pale face became even paler. Yin Yer was shocked. "Master!" Lin Tian was also moved. At this time, the marvelous mathematician's life force was even weaker. He was like a candle in the wind, about to be extinguished at any time. Well, it seems like he was injured by the legendary meridian-shattering soul slash of the Saber Pavilion. The injury is very serious. Whooshing Crocodile said. Lin Tian frowned. Meridian-shattering soul slash? One of the core secret techniques of the Saber Pavilion. It can attack a cultivator's meridians and soul through the physical body. It is difficult to heal with ordinary methods. Moreover, this injury will worsen with time. It is a very powerful attack divine technique. Whooshing Crocodile said in a low voice. It's that slash. Yin Yer looked worried. Previously, Master blocked the slash for me. At that time, I didn't see any special injuries. I thought it was nothing serious. I didn't expect. As she spoke, faint light surged out of her body. Then the great Tao in the area began to seethe. Dense amounts of Tao light converged on Master God Diviner from all directions. They were gentle and soft, but they were also as vast and mighty as a river in the starry sky. They enveloped Master God Diviner and sank into his body. This Tao light was very rich and pure. It shocked Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun. Both of them were moved. A half-step to Nirvana realm can actually summon such rich and pure power of the great Tao. This, even an ordinary ninth heaven of Nirvana realm expert would find it difficult to do. Whooshing Crocodile was shocked. However, he immediately thought of something. His demon eyes were filled with shock. He stared at Yin Yip in disbelief. Could it be the immortal spiritual body? What? The imperial spiritual body that is said to be the favorite of the great Tao. When Ling Yun heard this, he was shocked. Only Lin Tian was calm. A few years ago, he had heard from an old drunkard that Yin Yip had the immortal spiritual body. Yin Yip supported the marvelous mathematician and guided the endless Tao light into his body. Gradually, the marvelous mathematician's complexion began to recover. Well, the injuries caused by the spirit-crushing pulse slash are difficult to heal with ordinary methods. However, this pure power of the great Tao should not be a problem. Even if it is an extremely serious injury, This level of power of the Great Tao should be able to heal it easily. Wuxing Crocodile said. He looked straight at Yinya and his demon eyes were filled with shock. Could it really be the immortal spiritual body? Buzz! In this space, the light of the Great Path circled all around. Strands of light entered Master God Diviner's body, causing his life force to gradually become stronger. His essence, chi, and spirit also began to recover at a rapid rate, becoming stronger and stronger. However, in the next moment, with a sizzling sound, the Tao light surrounding the area suddenly dissipated. The light outside Yin Yip'er's body also disappeared. Her aura became extremely weak. I've used up all my divine power. She supported the marvelous mathematician with a worried look on her face. Then, she subconsciously looked at Lin Tian. She had the immortal spiritual body and was known as the favorite of the Great Tao. Her perception and control of the Great Tao were unparalleled. However, she could only do that if she had the support of divine power. Without divine power, even if she was the favorite of the Great Tao, she could not do anything. Meeting her gaze, Lin Tianwei was stunned. Then he smiled. "I'll do it," he said and took a step forward. "Kid, the spirit-crushing pulse slash is not easy to treat with ordinary methods. Are you confident that you can guide the pure and rich power of the Great Tao?" Wuxing Crocodile asked. "Well, I'm not sure. However, I won't guide the power of the Great Tao. I'll use other methods." Lin Tiandao. He had mastered the art of nirvana of the sun, a sacred healing technique created by the Solar Lord. He believed that with this technique, he should be able to heal the injuries caused by the spirit-crushing pulse slash. He came to the marvelous mathematician's side and directly channeled the art of nirvana of the sun. For a moment, blood-red flames jumped and directly enveloped the marvelous mathematician, continuously entering his body. That's a sacred healing technique. Wuxing Crocodile's expression changed. Then, it bared its teeth and said, "I forgot that you still have this precious technique. With this technique, there should be no problem." It naturally knew that Lin Tian had mastered the art of nirvana of the sun. It just did not remember at that moment. The blood-red flames buzzed and entered the marvelous mathematician's body. Soon, the marvelous mathematician's essence, chi, and spirit began to rapidly recover. His pale face gradually became rosy. Just like that, after a few dozen breaths, the marvelous mathematician's injuries were all healed. His life fluctuations returned to normal. It's done. Chapter 1120. The Solar Nirvana technique was created by the Solar Celestial Lord, and it had unparalleled healing effects. It was not difficult to heal the wounds on Master Clairvoyant's meridians and soul. "It's really healed." Yin Yip was elated. Master Clairvoyant's spirit had recovered, and his face was rosy again. His life force had also stabilized. "Thank you, little brother. I owe you another big favor." Master Clairvoyant stood up and thanked Ling Yun. "It's nothing. Senior, don't be so polite." Lin Tiandao said. "Yeah, don't be so polite. He's still thinking about your disciple. Look at the way he looked at your disciple just now." Ling Yun pursed his lips. Lin Tian was speechless. He really wanted to kick Ling Yun away. Since when did he look at his disciple in such a way? Yin Yip blinked. Master Clairvoyant smiled, not at all bothered by Ling Yun's joke. "May I ask who these people are?" Master Clairvoyant asked Lin Tiandao as he looked at Wuxing Crocodile, Ling Yun, and the little Taichu on top of Lin Tian's head. "They're all good friends." Lin Tian smiled and introduced Master Clairvoyant and Yin Yip to Wuxing Crocodile and the rest. "Master Clairvoyant?" Wuxing Crocodile looked at Master Clairvoyant in surprise. "Master Clairvoyant? Master Clairvoyant's descendant?" "Yes." Master Clairvoyant nodded. There was nothing to hide. "That's true. Master Clairvoyant is said to be able to predict everything. In a way, it's very scary." Wuxing Crocodile clicked his tongue. Lin Tian's expression was very calm. He was not surprised at all because he had already learned about Master Clairvoyant's background from an old drunkard. He looked at Master Clairvoyant and asked, "Oh right, Senior. Why are those people from the legendary Pavilion of Swords chasing after you?" Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun looked at Master Clairvoyant curiously. Master God Diviner looked off into the distance, clenching his hands into fists. Then he sighed. Heaven Oracle, my former senior brother. Master Godly Mathematician clenched his fists. Dozens of years ago, he left the Heavenly Secret Divination sect and joined the legendary Saber Pavilion. His position is not low, and he wants to steal our sect's ancestral treasure, the Heavenly Secret Divine Mirror. Heaven's Oracle? Tianji Divine Mirror? Lin Tian frowned. The Five Elements crocodile was slightly moved, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. He looked at the clairvoyant and said, well, speaking of which, decades ago, there was a big mess in the divination school at that time. Since then, the divine predictor disappeared, and the bamboo forest where the divination school was stationed turned into ruins overnight. What happened at that time? Hearing this, Lin Tian was slightly surprised. Is that true? The legacy encampment had been reduced to ruins overnight. This kind of thing, no matter how one looked at it, it seemed like it had been destroyed by someone. Naturally. Whooshing Crocodile curled his lips. This matter has already spread in the ninth heaven. There are only a few people who don't know about it. Lin Tian frowned. He thought of something and looked at Master Godly Mathematician. Is it related to that Heaven Oracle? Master Godly Mathematician mentioned his senior brother at the beginning. Moreover, when he mentioned this person, he saw Master Godly Mathematician clench his fists, and his expression was a little strange. It seems that it wasn't just because Heaven Oracle wanted to kill him, and Yin Yip Master Godly Mathematician nodded. Yes. He clenched his fists, and after a few breaths, he spoke again. Our divination school's ancestor left behind a heavenly secret dojo, which contains the divine mirror. It has an unfathomable ability, and only the previous masters of the heavenly secret divination school know its location. However, according to the ancestors' instructions, the previous masters never went to the heavenly secret dojo to retrieve the divine mirror because they were not qualified to do so. Decades ago, my master, Tianjizi, the master of the heavenly secret divination school, suddenly passed the position of the next master to me. And then, Master Godly Mathematician couldn't help but clench his fists. Lin Tian frowned and guessed. Then your senior brother, Heaven Oracle, became hostile because he didn't get the position. He joined the Heavenly Secret Saber Pavilion with the power of the Heavenly Secret Divination School, and then used the power of the World Saber Pavilion to destroy the Heavenly Secret Divination School's base. However, what he really wanted wasn't the position of the master of the Heavenly Secret Divination School, but to find out the location of the Heavenly Secret Dojo so that he could retrieve the divine mirror, right? He had learned a lot from Master Godly Mathematician, and it wasn't difficult for him to guess what had happened. Master Godly Mathematician nodded. Yes. Master Godly Mathematician said, that night decades ago, he brought a group of experts from the World Saber Pavilion back to the bamboo forest and interrogated my master about the location of the Heavenly Secret Dojo. Naturally, my master wouldn't tell him, and he used a special method to send me away from the base to escape the calamity. As for my master, the moment he sent me away, he killed himself. He killed himself? Lin Tian sighed. That senior must have been worried that something would happen after he was controlled. So he could roughly guess what Tianjizi was thinking at that time. He was worried that the secret of the Heavenly Secret Dojo would be leaked after he was controlled by the so-called Heaven Oracle, so he killed himself. Master Godly Mathematician took a deep breath. Obviously, he knew this, and his fists clenched even tighter. Then he sighed and said, back then, senior brother, his talent was better than mine, and he was also stronger than me. At that time, when my master passed the position of the next master of the Heavenly Secret Divination School to me, I was actually very puzzled, but now, he tilted his head and looked at Yin Yabur. Now, I roughly understand why my master made such a decision. Lin Tian looked at Yin Yabur, and his eyes lit up. Because your master, Tianjizi, divined that your future disciple would have an immortal spiritual body, right? Whooshing Crocodile asked. He glanced at Yin Yabur and continued. According to the rumors, the founder of the Heavenly Secret Divination School, your ancestor, had an immortal spiritual body. As you mentioned before, because of the ancestral teachings, although the previous masters of the Heavenly Secret Divination School knew the location of the Heavenly Secret Dojo, they never went to the Heavenly Secret Divine Mirror. Presumably, the general content of the ancestral teachings is that only those with an immortal spiritual body can go to the Heavenly Secret Dojo to retrieve the Heavenly Secret Divine Mirror, right? The clairvoyant master's expression changed slightly. He was surprised that Whooshing Crocodile could tell that Yin-Yip had an immortal spiritual body, and he was surprised that Whooshing Crocodile could guess what he had guessed. However, his surprise only lasted for a moment before it disappeared. After all, just now, Yin-Yip, with her half-step nirvana realm cultivation, had attracted such rich and pure power of the Great Way. As long as one had a discerning eye, it would not be difficult to guess what Yin-Yip's body was. As for the reason why Tian Jizi passed the position of the master of the Heavenly Secret Divination School to him, as long as one knew Yin-Yip's body, it would not be difficult to guess. Our progenitor is indeed an immortal spirit body. The Tianji Dao field was left behind by our progenitor, and the Tianji Divine Mirror was also left behind by our progenitor. It can allow our Tianji Dao of divination to reach a higher level by more than 10 times, and it can help us perfect our Tianji Dao field. It has been sealed in the Tianji Dao field for who knows how long. The clairvoyant master looked at Whooshing Crocodile and said, "And the records of the ancestral teachings are indeed, as this friend said. The content is that in the future generations, only disciples with immortal spiritual bodies can go to the Heavenly Secret Dojo to retrieve the Divine Mirror. Otherwise, they will be regarded as traitors." Just as Master Crocodile guessed. Whooshing Crocodile nodded and looked at Yin-Yip again. She is indeed an immortal spiritual body. The clairvoyant master's words not only confirmed his guess about the reason why Tian Jizi passed the position of the new master of the Heavenly Secret Divination School to him, but also accepted another point. Yin-Yip indeed had an immortal spiritual body. Ling Yun also stared at Yin-Yip. She is really an immortal spiritual body. Obviously, compared to the Heavenly Secret Divination School, he and Whooshing Crocodile were more concerned about Yin-Yip's immortal spiritual body. After all, the immortal spiritual body was not ordinary. As the favored child of the Great Way, it had an innate advantage in many things. Once the immortal spiritual body was completed, its combat power was unimaginable. Lin Tian squinted at the man and the crocodile. He didn't care about it because he already knew that Yin-Yip had an immortal spiritual body. He looked at the clairvoyant master and said, "In fact, when Tian Jizi didn't pass the position of the next master of the Heavenly Secret Divination School to Tian Jizi, it was because he knew that Tian Jizi wanted to obtain the Divine Mirror. In addition, he knew that Senior's future disciple would have an immortal spiritual body, so he directly passed the position of the next master to Senior." He paused for a moment, then continued. After that incident, Senior should have secretly left the 9th heaven and went to the lower heaven. Now, after so many years, Senior has returned. Are you going to... He looked at Yin-Yip and said, "Are you going to take Miss Yip to the Heavenly Secret Dojo to retrieve the Divine Mirrors?" The clairvoyant master nodded. "After that incident, I used a special method to suppress myself and left this heaven, so that Tian Jizi couldn't deduce anything about me. Then, I met Ybur by chance and brought her with me." He looked at Yin-Yip, then at Lin Tian. "After so many years, Ybur has reached the half-step nirvana realm. I think it's time to bring Ybur back and let her go to the Heavenly Secret Dojo to retrieve the Divine Mirror. This is not only the will of the ancestor, but also the task entrusted to me by Master. It is also to make Ybur stronger." A few days ago, Ybur and I returned to this heaven through the transmission array, but we didn't expect that Tian Jizi had set up some special means in this heaven. The technique I used to suppress myself to prevent him from deducing my whereabouts failed. He sensed my whereabouts and sent a powerhouse to catch me. After saying that, the clairvoyant master sighed and looked at Lin Tiandao again. "This time, it's really fortunate that we met you. Otherwise, Ybur and I wouldn't have escaped this disaster." Yin-Yip looked at Lin Tian, blinked her eyes, and said with a smile, "It's really all thanks to you. Oh, I'm very glad. Lin Tian also chuckled. I'm also very glad that I happened to come here at this time. Otherwise, I might have lost a respected senior and a beautiful friend. Chapter 11:21. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Lin Tian was indeed very glad. If he hadn't happened to pass by here, the god diviner and Yin Yup would have been in trouble. He didn't want that to happen, no matter what. He was glad that he was able to come here and save the master and disciple. Boy, your words are really mushy. Whooshing Crocodile curled his lips. I'm just telling the truth. Lin Tian. He paused and looked at Master Divine Mathematician. Senior, when do you plan to go to the Tianji dojo? In order to avoid any trouble, the sooner the better. I want to take Yin there immediately. Master Divine Mathematician said. In the ninth heaven, Master Divine Mathematician has the support of the behemoth legendary Blade Pavilion, and they can calculate his whereabouts. The longer the delay, the greater the risk. The right thing to do is to get Yin Yup to get the Divine Mirror as soon as possible. Lin Tian thought for a while and said, If you don't mind, can I accompany you? Master Divine Mathematician was taken aback for a moment. There was obvious gratitude in his eyes, but he shook his head. Thank you for your kindness, little brother, but this may bring you a lot of trouble. We have already owed you a lot, and we can't give you any more trouble. He was very clear about the true meaning behind Lin Tian's offer to accompany him and Yin Yup to the Heavenly Secret Dojo. He knew that Heaven Oracle was relying on the legendary Saber Pavilion to deal with him and Yin Yup, so he was prepared to escort them to the Heavenly Secret Dojo. In fact, at this time, he really needed Lin Tian's help. However, he was very worried that this would bring a lot of trouble to Lin Tian. After all, his and Yin Yup's opponent is Master Divine Mathematician, who is also proficient in divination. Moreover, he has the support of the behemoth legendary Blade Pavilion. If Master Divine Mathematician targeted Lin Tian, because of this, it would definitely not be a good thing for Lin Tian. It may cause a lot of unnecessary effects. Lin Tian's current cultivation level was very high, so he could tell what the clairvoyant master was thinking. He smiled and said, Senior, don't worry. I've never been afraid of trouble. Back when he was being hunted by the Seven Luminaries Empire, he encountered the clairvoyant master and Yin Yup in the forest. Yin Yup had directly sent him various news of the outside world. Later on, Yin Yup was captured by the Seven Luminaries Empire to threaten the clairvoyant master to deduce his whereabouts. The clairvoyant master refused to comply. He was truly grateful to the master and disciple pair. Although an old drunkard had helped him save this pair of master and disciple, and he had also saved them once, none of that mattered. What mattered was that he knew that the clairvoyant master and Yin Yup were in trouble. Since he knew, he naturally wouldn't sit idly by and do nothing. As the saying goes, a drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring. This was the principle, and he was very clear on this point. More importantly, he respected the clairvoyant and considered Yin Yup a good friend. Therefore, at this moment, he would of course choose to travel with the clairvoyant Yin Yup and escort her to the heavenly mystery godly mirror. This, the clairvoyant master was even more grateful, but he was still a little hesitant. All right, old man, don't hesitate. Just like what Bratlin said before, we have already provoked 5 top forces in a row. Why should we be afraid of one more legendary Saber Pavilion? Whooshing Crocodile curled his lips and said, Moreover, to be honest, Grandpa Crocodile really wants to go and take a look at the dojo left by the ancestor of your heavenly mystery sect. Lingyan also said, Yes, don't think too much. At most, you can marry your disciple to Brat Lin in the future to return the favor. Lin Tian couldn't help but frown. What is this guy talking about? He took a deep breath and said to the clairvoyant master, It's decided, Senior. When Miss Yup successfully obtains the heavenly mystery godly mirror, we will part ways. As he said that, he smiled and said, If Senior feels that you owe me anything, then when Miss Yup's heavenly mystery divination Tao is accomplished in the future, please allow this junior to shamelessly ask for some divination. The clairvoyant master was stunned again and smiled bitterly. Then his expression became incomparably serious again. He looked at Yin-Yer and said, "As long as this old man is still alive, as long as Yubur can help, I will do my best to help you in the future." His expression was very serious. It was a kind of acceptance of Lin Tian's good intentions, and also a promise to Lin Tian. Yin-Yer smiled lightly. She was not as courteous as the clairvoyant master. She seemed very ethereal as she thanked Lin Tiandao. Lin Tianyi smiled. "Then, let's go now." The clairvoyant master nodded. Immediately, the group left this place and walked into the distance. In the southern region, on an incomparably majestic mountain, there was a huge palace. It was like the various divine pavilions of the celestial world. There was a kind of amazing divine essence intertwined between these palaces, and overall, there was a kind of soaring aura. This was the place where the legendary Saber Pavilion was established. What? In a large hall of the legendary Saber Pavilion, a few big shots of this branch gathered together, all of them frowning. Another person knelt on one knee in the hall. He was a deacon of the legendary Saber Pavilion. The legendary Saber Pavilion's Hall of Legacy brought news that the 10 people they sent to capture the clairvoyant master had all their soul lamps extinguished. Everyone was dead. Master Clairvoyant. In the hall, a middle-aged man in a purple robe looked at a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe and frowned. "Didn't you say that the clairvoyant master and the woman with the celestial spirit body were below the nirvana realm and were not a threat? In order to deduce the cultivation of the woman with the celestial spirit body, our sect had already sent people to die in place of Master. Master said that 10 nirvana realm cultivators would be able to suppress the 2 of them unharmed. However, the result seems to be a little different from Master's deduction." The middle-aged man in a Taoist robe tilted his head and looked at the middle-aged man in a purple robe. There was a sinister look in his eyes as he said, "Are you doubting my deduction? Fear Master has misunderstood. I was just a little curious." The middle-aged man in a purple robe was at the quasi-emperor level and was one of the big shots of the legendary Saber Pavilion. He was very powerful, but he was not angry at the unkind tone of the early-stage Nirvana realm middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. This was because the middle-aged man in a Taoist robe was of great significance to the legendary Saber Pavilion. Moreover, over the years, the legendary Saber Pavilion had benefited greatly from the clairvoyant master's Tao of divine divination. Even one of their emperor-level ancestors had personally come out of seclusion to meet the clairvoyant master and personally said that he would treat the clairvoyant master as an important guest of the legendary Saber Pavilion. The clairvoyant master snorted coldly, and a sinister light flashed in his eyes. "I have already deduced the cause of the deaths of those people. It has nothing to do with the clairvoyant master and the celestial spirit body girl. It has nothing to do with their strength. Someone must have helped them." As he spoke, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and shot out a divine light screen. It reflected the figures of Lin Tian, Little Taichu, Wuxing Crocodile, Ling Yun, the clairvoyant master, and Yin Yumur. There was even a blurry image of Lin Tian fighting. Although it was not very clear, it was enough to explain many things. This man saved the clairvoyant master and his disciple. The middle-aged man in a purple robe froze. His gaze fell on Lin Tian in the divine light screen, and he could not help but frown. "If that is the case, this will be a little troublesome." As he spoke, his gaze involuntarily shifted to the little Taichu above Lin Tian's head in the divine light screen. A few days ago, Lin Tian had killed the Yin-Yang Saint Child and several quasi-emperors in the Taichu Immortal Ridge because of the mysterious little beast by his side. It was said that the little beast was at the emperor level. If Lin Tian was protecting the clairvoyant master and his disciple, then it would be very troublesome for them to capture them. Ordinary people and ordinary methods would be absolutely ineffective. There were other important figures of this faction in the hall. They were all very powerful, but at this time, they were all frowning. Evidently, they had also thought of the series of problems that the middle-aged man in a purple robe was thinking of. Troublesome? The clairvoyant master snorted coldly. "What you think is just troublesome. Have you never thought that this is an immortal opportunity?" He looked at the middle-aged man in a purple robe and the others and said sinisterly, "That Lin Tian is rumored to control several celestial, venerable ancient scriptures. If we take this opportunity to suppress him together with the clairvoyant master and his disciple, not only will I obtain the divine mirror of heavenly secrets, which will greatly increase my divination power and make your legendary saber pavilion stronger in the future, you will also obtain several celestial, venerable ancient scriptures, which will rapidly increase your sex strength. In the future, it will definitely not be a problem for you to dominate the world." He continued, "That little beast by his side is indeed very powerful. But how powerful can it be? Can it be heaven-defying? Given the strength of your legendary saber pavilion, can't you deal with such a little beast? Think about it carefully. As long as you suppress him and the clairvoyant master and his disciple, you will be rewarded handsomely." Hearing this, the expression of the middle-aged man in purple robe and the others changed. Their eyes couldn't help but light up when they heard this. Indeed, the clairvoyant master was right. As long as they suppressed Lin Tian and the clairvoyant master would obtain the divine mirror of heavenly secrets, which would greatly increase his divination power. In the future, it would be even better for the legendary Saber Pavilion to become the strongest sect in the world after suppressing Lin Tian. In addition, they would be able to obtain several celestial venerable ancient scriptures from Lin Tian, which would greatly increase their sex strength. With these two combined, it wouldn't be a problem for the legendary Saber Pavilion to dominate the world in the future. In the future, the legendary Saber Pavilion would definitely become the strongest sect in the world. I'll have to report this matter to the patriarchs and ask them to make a decision. The middle-aged man in purple robe said in a deep voice, but there was a faint glimmer in his eyes. The sky was blue, and there were white clouds everywhere. Lin Tian and the others left the place where they had been before. With Master God Diviner leading the way, their speed was quite fast, and the scenery on both sides flashed by rapidly. "Senior, we seem to be leaving the western region and heading towards the southern region. Is the Tianji Dojo located in the southern region?" Lin Tian asked the clairvoyant master. Beside him, Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun also tilted their heads to look at the clairvoyant master. At this time, they naturally noticed the same problem as Lin Tianyi. Chapter 1122. A genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Facing Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Ling Yun's gazes, the clairvoyant master nodded. Indeed, the Tianji Dojo is located in the southern region. Love Go, Little Say Netku previously. When I entered the ninth heaven through the cross-heaven teleportation array, I couldn't control the specific foothold, so I ended up in the Western Domain and the Heavenly Oracle and the legendary Blade Pavilion. Master Clairvoyant didn't finish his sentence, but Lin Tian and the others already knew what happened next. If we fly from here to the Southern Domain, it'll take at least a few months. Let's find a sect to use the teleportation portal. Lin Tiandao. The ninth heaven is extremely vast, and the distance between the 4 domains is naturally very far. The time it takes to cross from one domain to another is unimaginable. Even with their current powerful cultivation base, it will take a lot of time to cross from here to the southern region. At this time, the best way is to use the teleportation platform of some sect inheritance, which can generally teleport them to a very far distance in an instant. Yes, that should be the case. Ling Yin said. I think so too. Yin Yipper nodded. Master God Diviner nodded in agreement. It was a very good idea. Wuxing Crocodile said, the sect closest to this place is called the Northern Violet Divine Sect. It is a second-level power in this heaven domain. There are several quasi-emperors overseeing the sect, and they have teleportation formations that lead directly to the other 3 domains. All right, then let's head to the Northern Purple Divine Sect to borrow the teleportation array. Lin Tiandao. Wuxing Crocodile immediately led the way towards the Northern Purple Divine Sect. This place was a bit far from Northern Purple God Sect, but it wasn't too far. The group flew in the air for about 3 days before finally arriving at a mountain range. There were immortal palaces with immortal birds flying above them. The spirit energy here was shockingly dense. "We're here. The northern purple sect is right in front," Whooshing Crocodile said. Lin Tian nodded. "Let's go." "Yeah." A childish voice rang out above Lin Tian's head. Little Taichu spoke up and pulled Lin Tian's head. Lin Tianwei was puzzled, but then her expression changed. She tilted her head and looked towards the northwest. Ling Yun was curious. "Kid, why boom? Boom, boom." At this moment, overbearing divine power intertwined from the northwest. 3 silhouettes rushed over and arrived in the blink of an eye. They were 3 middle-aged men, one in green robes, one in golden armor, and one in brown hair. All of them had cold expressions, and a faint emperor's aura surrounded them. Moreover, there was an extremely sharp blade, intent lingering in the void. 3 quasi-emperors from the legendary Saber Pavilion. Whooshing Crocodile narrowed its eyes. The marvelous mathematician's expression froze. He clenched his fists and didn't look too good. He knew that the marvelous mathematician wouldn't give up on dealing with him. He was determined to get the whereabouts of the mysterious heavenly mirror from him. However, he didn't expect the marvelous mathematician to send more experts to kill him. Moreover, it was 3 quasi-emperors. A person of this level was very terrifying. Yin Yu frowned slightly, but soon relaxed. This was because Lin Tian was standing beside her. Lin Tian looked at the 3 quasi-emperors from the legendary Saber Pavilion and naturally knew why they had chased him all the way here. "Get lost if you don't want to die," he said. Opposite him, the 3 middle-aged men snorted coldly. Their gazes fell on the marvelous mathematician and Lin Tian. There was a sharp light in their eyes, as if they were looking at the peerless divine treasures of the 2 sections. The next moment, the 3 of them moved and worked together to summon blood-red banners. There were a total of 999 banners. Each banner was about 10 feet long and was engraved with densely packed Tao patterns. The moment they appeared, they exuded a terrifying killing power. There was the Emperor's aura of a true Emperor-level expert intertwined among them. The faint Emperor's aura of a quasi-Emperor couldn't compare to it. In an instant, the 999 banners swayed and directly trapped Lin Tianyi and the others in the center. For a moment, Lin Tian frowned. Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun were slightly shocked. The marvelous mathematician and Yin Yu also turned pale. The killing formation formed by 999 Emperor-level banners was forged by at least 2 Emperor-level experts. Moreover, they weren't ordinary Emperors. They were at least at the 6th heaven of the Emperor realm, which is enough to kill a 3rd heaven of the Emperor realm. Whooshing Crocodile cursed. "Damn, Master Crocodile found it strange just now. Why didn't these 3 bastards care about you at all when they saw you? At least you killed 7 or 8 quasi-emperors before. Ordinary quasi-emperors should be wary of you. It turns out that these 3 bastards still have such things on them. No wonder they are so confident. That's not all. Those bastards didn't seem the least bit surprised to see us here with Master God Diviner. It was almost as if they knew we were here all along. Furthermore, they were looking at Master God Diviner and Master Lin like prey. Clearly, they weren't just targeting Master God Diviner, they were targeting Master Lin as well." Ling Yin said. Lin Tian's eyes were intertwined with a glimmer. Naturally, he also noticed the problem mentioned by Ling Yun. He said, "There is only one explanation. After a dozen people from the legendary Saber Pavilion were killed, the marvelous mathematician calculated that we were helping the marvelous mathematician. After that, I think they're also targeting the celestial venerable ancient scriptures that I have. They want to take them away." Hearing this, Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun nodded slightly. Obviously, Lin Tian's statement was the only explanation. Boom! 999 large banners soared into the sky. The murderous power was tyrannical, shaking the 10 directions as if it was going to collapse the entire place. This kind of power was tyrannical and terrifying. It rolled up a terrifying hurricane, broke through the sky, and shook the earth. In an instant, this place seemed to have been hit by a huge earthquake. The mountains in front of them shook violently. Large trees were directly broken and shattered. The palaces of the northern purple divine sect in the mountains shook. Then a protective formation around the palaces appeared on its own, firmly protecting the palaces. Suddenly, the entire northern purple divine sect was alarmed. What's wrong? What's going on? What happened? Many disciples of the northern purple divine sect were in a mess. The sect leader and a few supreme elders of this faction walked out in shock. Soon after, each of them sensed the reason why the dense palaces in their faction shook and the protective runes activated on their own. All of them looked out of the mountain range. That is, staring out of the mountains, the big shots of the northern purple divine sect saw the 99 large banners, 3 quasi-emperors, and Lin Tianyi and the others. For a moment, the shock on their faces deepened. Is that Lin Tian? Those 3 middle-aged men are quasi-emperors. They seem to be from the legendary Saber Pavilion. Are those large banners a killing formation? This killing formation caused the land of our sect to shake. Terrifying, terrifying. It can even destroy an emperor, right? That Lin Tian. When did he become enemies with the legendary Saber Pavilion? Many disciples of the Northern Purple Divine Sect followed the gaze of their sect master and a few highest elders. When they saw the scene outside the mountains, they were all extremely shocked. Boom! The 999 large banners swayed in the wind, sealing off the 4 directions. The murderous power of these banners was terrifying. The 3 middle-aged men were guarding 3 directions, jointly controlling the 999 large banners. They looked coldly at Lin Tianyi and the others. Before this, the Legacy Saber Pavilion had sent a dozen experts to hunt down the Divine Diviner and his disciples, but they had all been killed. The Divine Diviner had divined that Lin Tian's group was helping the Divine Diviner and his disciples, and pointed out that Lin Tian had several celestial venerate ancient scriptures. As long as the Legacy Saber Pavilion could suppress Lin Tian and the Divine Diviner together, not only would they be able to obtain the Heavenly Divination Divine Mirror, but they would also be able to obtain several celestial venerate ancient scriptures from Lin Tian. In the future, they would be able to dominate the 10 Directions Heaven region without any problems. After that, the legendary Saber Pavilion was indeed tempted. After reporting to the elders of the Saber Pavilion, they finally received approval. Now, they were here to suppress both Lin Tian and the Oracle Master. Before this, because there was a rumor that Lin Tian had an emperor-rank small beast, the 3 of them were given a secret divine treasure, the 9 Annihilation Slaughter Formation. This sex array was forged by 3 7th Heaven Emperors in the past. Even a 3rd Heaven Emperor could easily destroy it. Among the 3, the green-clothed middle-aged man glanced at the Oracle Master, looked at Lin Tian, and then looked at the little Taichu on Lin Tian's head. He sneered, "So what if it's an Emperor rank? It's at most a 2nd Sky Emperor Realm expert." The big shots of their faction all agreed that the little Taichu by Lin Tian's side was at most a 2nd Sky Emperor Realm expert. Not long ago, when the little Taichu killed the quasi-emperors of the Yin-Yang sect and other major factions, they didn't sense any strong emperor aura from the little Taichu. Furthermore, the 9 Annihilation Slaughter Formation could easily kill a 3rd Sky Emperor Realm expert. Therefore, they weren't worried at all. Yeah! The little Taichu lay on Lin Tian's head. Seeing the green-clothed middle-aged man staring at it with a cold smile, it was very dissatisfied. Among the 3 middle-aged men, the brown-clothed middle-aged man snorted and said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense. Attack and suppress." The other 2 middle-aged men nodded and raised their hands to form seals. In an instant, 999 large flags trembled together, releasing an even more terrifying aura that shook the entire sky. The Wuxing crocodile, Ling Yun, Yin Yer, and the Oracle Master were all shocked. "Don't worry, we won't kill you. We'll leave you alive. There are many things that we need to get from you," the golden-clothed middle-aged man said coldly. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, a boundless killing light surged toward the group like a vast sea. Rumble! The void in all directions collapsed at the first moment. Lin Tian frowned and asked the little Taichu, "Little guy, can you block it?" Chapter 11:23. Genius 1 second, remember love divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The killing light rolled like a mountain, as if it was going to destroy everything. It caused the space within a radius of several thousand feet to be completely frozen. The air stopped flowing, and the white clouds in the sky were all scattered. The terrifying fluctuation swept out a violent hurricane, and the endless killing light pressed down. Even Lin Tian felt a chill down his spine. However, he was not shocked because the little Taichu was lying on top of his head. Subconsciously, he felt that the little guy would be able to deal with such a situation. Yeah, the little Taichu called out in a childish voice. It looked forward, and the wings on its back flapped gently. A circle of faint six-colored divine light rippled out like water ripples. It was mixed with wisps of divine fluctuation, and it met the killing light that was pressing down. Suddenly, the killing light that was pressing down from all directions was annihilated. Then, a series of cracking sounds were heard. It was as if porcelain had cracked. Cracks appeared on the 999 flags one after another. Then, all of them broke and turned into ashes at the same time. Bam! 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 The three middle-aged men were also sent flying. Each of them fell dozens of feet away, and they all coughed up blood. Suddenly, Ling Yun and Wuxing Crocodile's expressions changed. They could not help but open their mouths. Then, they laughed loudly. As expected of the little Taichu, too powerful. This is not bad. Ling Yun laughed wildly. Previously, even though he knew that the little Taichu was very powerful, he was still very worried. It was because the aura of the 999 black flags was too strong. However, now, the little Taichu had actually broken the 9 Annihilation Slaughter formation, which could kill a third Heaven Emperor with just a flap of its wings. It really made him shocked and excited. Wuxing Crocodile laughed loudly. Good, good, good. The marvelous mathematician had always been steady, but at this time, he could not help but be surprised. He stared at the little Taichu a little dazed. Love go little say, W quat the side. Yinyaver could not help but open her mouth and widen her eyes. At this time, she was really shocked by little Taichu's tyrannical strength. She was almost stunned. Even further away, in the northern purple divine sect, the important figures of this branch were all staring at this place. At this moment, they were all shocked, and cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Just now, the 99 black flags formed a killing formation. Naturally, all the important figures in this sect could sense how terrifying it was. Looking at it from afar, they felt fear, as if their souls were about to split apart. But even so, such a terrifying killing formation was torn apart by the little Taichu above Lin Tian's head with a flap of its wings. What kind of terrifying strength was this? This little beast is at the very least, comparable to a 5th Heaven Emperor realm expert, or perhaps even stronger. An elder of this sect felt his heart palpitate. Meanwhile, on the side, a few ordinary disciples from this bloodline were even more terrified. They stared outside the mountain range, almost petrified on the spot. Everyone was shocked by little Taichu's strength. Outside the vast mountain range, 3 middle-aged quasi-emperors were sent flying. Blood gushed out of their mouths, and their bodies were covered in cracks. Their auras were so weak that they were like candles in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. All of them were seriously injured. Little guy, you're really powerful, Lin Tian said to little Taichu with a smile. Yeah, the little guy responded in a childish voice. Its big eyes curved into small crescents, as if it was a child who had been praised. Lin Tianyi smiled and looked up at the 3 middle-aged quasi-emperors opposite him. 3 golden sword rays appeared directly beside him. Then, outside his body, strands of great Tao laws intertwined and gathered in the 3 golden sword rays in the blink of an eye, causing the 3 sword rays to turn into great Tao killing swords. The intertwined aura instantly became more than 10 times stronger, and the sword power was fierce. In the distance, the 3 middle-aged quasi-emperors trembled, shocked, and terrified. Go runs, one of them said in a trembling voice. The three middle-aged quasi-emperors did not expect the little Taichu beside Lin Tian to be so terrifying. The killing formation that they had brought with them was shattered so easily by little Taichu. At the same time, it caused them to suffer unimaginable injuries. Dense cracks had already appeared on their life, origin, and spirit bodies. This kind of strength had completely replaced their fear. At this time, Lin Tian summoned three more powerful killing swords. Given their current state of serious injuries, they all felt threatened and immediately fled into the distance. For a time, three whooshing sounds could be heard clearly as the three of them fled in three different directions. In your current state, even an ordinary early-stage Nirvana stage cultivator can easily kill you. How dare you escape in front of me? Lin Tiantan said coldly. With a thought, the three golden sword rays that were intertwined with great Tao laws instantly flew out like three bolts of lightning. In the blink of an eye, they approached the three quasi-emperors and pierced through the back of their heads. Puff! 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 Three bursts of blood mist exploded. The three middle-aged quasi-emperors were simultaneously smashed into pieces, along with their spirit and life origin. After being severely injured by little Taichu, these three quasi-emperors were already on the brink of death. Now that they were slashed by Lin Tian's full-powered sword radiance, they naturally couldn't withstand it and died instantly, their bodies and souls destroyed. For a time, the place suddenly quieted down. "Yeah!" Little Taichu called out to Lin Tian again. Lin Tian smiled, turned around, and walked back to the marvelous mathematician and the others. The marvelous mathematician had already recovered. He looked at the little Taichu and then at Lin Tian, seriously wanting to express his gratitude to Lin Tian. Lin Tian had saved him, and Yin Yuer again. "Senior, you're too polite?" Lin Tian smiled. "Let's go to the Northern Purple Divine Sect." Immediately, the group of people headed toward the Northern Purple Divine Sect in the mountains, ready to use the teleportation formation there. In the distance, the big shots and disciples of the Northern Purple Divine Sect were looking out of the mountains. At this time, they naturally saw Lin Tian and the others heading toward their sect. For a moment, they could not help but shudder. "They're coming towards us? Why? Well, what is he going to do?" In the Northern Purple Divine Sect, the group of cultivators was inexplicably horrified when they saw Lin Tianyi and the others heading toward them. Let's go outside and have a look," a supreme elder of this sect said, looking very nervous, as if Lin Tian was going to destroy their sect. Immediately, the big shots of this sect all headed out of the sect. Lin Tianyi and the others were not slow. Soon, they were several hundred feet away from the Northern Purple Divine Sect. Then, they slowed down because this was the place where the sect was established. They should be given some respect. Whoosh! At this time, a group of people walked out of the Northern Purple Divine Sect. At the front was the Supreme Elder, the Sect Master, and other big shots, followed by a group of ordinary elders and deacons, all of whom looked very nervous. This scene caused Lin Tian and the rest to be involuntarily stunned. Young friend Lin, and all of you, what brings you to our sect?" An old man stepped forward and cupped his hands at Lin Tian. This was a supreme elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect. His cultivation was at the quasi-emperor level, and he was very powerful. However, at this time, he looked very cautious in front of Lin Tian, especially when his eyes fell on the little Taichu on Lin Tian's head. He could not help but tremble slightly. In fact, the strength that Lin Tian had shown just now was too terrifying. This old man was afraid that one of his disciples had offended Lin Tian, and now Lin Tian was here to cause trouble. Lin Tian's spiritual sense was extraordinary. When he saw the Supreme Elder's expression and thought of how the little Taichu had easily destroyed the 9 Annihilation Slaughter formation and defeated the 3 middle-aged quasi-emperors, he more or less understood that this scene must have been witnessed by the big shots of the Northern Purple Divine Sect who were very close to this place. That was why they were behaving this way. He took a step forward and cupped his hands at the Supreme Elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect, saying, "Greetings, Senior. The reason we came here is mainly to borrow the teleportation formation of your sect to go to the southern region. We hope you can help us. Of course, we will not use the teleportation formation of your sect for free. We will give you a certain reward. Now his strength was not weak, and the little Taichu beside him was incomparably terrifying. Judging from the scene outside the mountains just now, the little guy could definitely kill an ordinary emperor expert with ease. However, even so, he still appeared very polite to the supreme elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect and communicated with him with a respectful attitude. After all, he was here to ask for help, and the supreme elder's cultivation and age were higher than his, so it was reasonable for him to be polite. When the supreme elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect heard Lin Tian's words, he could not help but inwardly heave a sigh of relief. His expression also relaxed, as if he felt that it was great that Lin Tian was not here to cause trouble for their sect. And behind him, the other big shots of this sect also breathed a sigh of relief, as if a huge rock had been removed from their shoulders. Immediately, the supreme elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect said, "Yes, no problem. This is a small matter." Then, "Thank you, Senior." Lin Tianyi smiled and bowed to express his thanks. The supreme elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect waved his hands. "It's a small matter. You're too polite, my young friend." Lin Tian naturally would not be arrogant. He bowed again to express his thanks. Then they followed the big shots of the Northern Purple Divine Sect and quickly entered the sect. They came to a large hall in the northeast corner of this sect. There was a round golden stone platform inside, about 30 meters in diameter. It was engraved with dense formation runes, and there was a very dense chi of time intertwining. Clearly, this teleportation formation was very large and could transport many people at once. Moreover, it had existed for a very long time, at least 100,000 years. Otherwise, there would not be such a dense chi of time intertwining around it. Chapter 1124. A Genius Will Remember Love in a Second? This is a wonderful novel for you to read. Looking at the teleportation platform in front of him, Lin Tian nodded secretly. As a second-level force in the ninth heaven, the Northern Purple Divine Sect is really extraordinary. Such a teleportation platform is absolutely impossible to be engraved by ordinary ninth-order array masters. Moreover, he vaguely felt a trace of Emperor force on the platform. Thinking about it, the Northern Purple Divine Sect must have produced an Emperor-level powerhouse. He should be the founder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect, or a hero of the later generations. This teleportation platform was created by an emperor, Buzz. An important figure of the Northern Purple Divine Sect gave an order. Soon, the teleportation platform emitted a dazzling light, and the runes engraved on it seemed to have come alive. They were all extremely bright, and a domain gate appeared on the teleportation platform, intertwining with soft light. Little friend, this is the domain gate to the southern domain. Just step through it, and you will reach the southern domain in about 10 breaths. However, we can't determine the specific coordinates of the southern domain, so we hope little friend Lin will forgive us. The great elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect was very polite to Lin Tiandao. Although his cultivation is far higher than Lin Tian's, his tone was very polite. "Many thanks, Senior." Lin Tian was naturally very polite, maintaining enough respect for the other party. Then, with a wave of his right hand, he took out 10,000 kilograms of ordinary lingjing from the stone ring. "This is 10,000 kilograms of lingjing. Please accept it, Senior." The distance between the four great domains of the ninth heaven is very far. It takes a huge amount of energy to perform this kind of interdomain teleportation, but it's far less than 10,000 kilograms of lingjing. Even if it's calculated according to the number of people teleported, 10,000 kilograms of lingjing is more than enough. It can be considered a very generous reward. You can't accept it. You can't accept it. This is just a small matter. Little friend is too polite. Please accept it. The great elder of the Northern Purple Divine Sect waved his hand repeatedly. "That's right. This is just a small matter." Little friend quickly put away this spirit crystal. The sect master of this branch also spoke. Now, Lin Tian's ferocious name was very famous, and he had such a terrifying little beast by his side. At this time, they really didn't dare to accept 10,000 spirit crystals as a reward after using the transmission array. If they accepted it, they would feel very guilty in the future. Lin Tian looked at the expressions of the big shots of the Northern Purple Divine Sect. He could more or less guess what they were thinking. He politely said, "Junior is here to ask for help. How can I let your sect waste resources to activate the teleportation array? This is unreasonable." He knew that Master God Diviner had misgivings, so he didn't say anything. Instead, he placed the 10,000 Lingjing into an ordinary stone ring, which he placed on a nearby jade table. Then, Master God Diviner and the others stepped onto the teleportation platform. "Thank you again," he called out to Whooshing Crocodile, Master God Diviner, and the others. Then, he stepped into the gate on the stone platform and disappeared. The big shots of the Northern Purple Divine Sect were stunned. They looked at the Lingjing left by Lin Tian, and no one would take it for a long time. The big shots were a little stunned. Then, some of them looked in the direction of the teleportation platform and couldn't help but frown slightly. One of them said worriedly, "Great Elder, Sect Master, that Lin Tian, the Great Extinguishing God Dynasty, the Shrine of Desolation, and the other 6 superpowers all have a grudge against him. If we lend him the teleportation formation and help him to go to the southern region from here, if the experts of those superpowers know about it, do you think you're the only one who can think of this problem? But so what? Can we not lend it to him?" The great elder of this branch said with a sullen face. The person who spoke opened his mouth, but didn't say anything. In fact, this person knew that the 6 superpowers had a grudge against Lin Tian. If the 6 superpowers knew that they had borrowed Lin Tian's teleportation formation, it might cause some trouble. However, if Lin Tian asked to lend them the teleportation formation, they wouldn't dare to refuse. After all, Lin Tian had such a terrifying little beast by his side. If they offended Lin Tian because of their refusal, it would be a disaster for their branch. Therefore, they had no choice in this matter. "Don't worry too much. As long as we don't tell anyone about borrowing the teleportation formation, the 6 superpowers won't know about it," another great elder said. Hearing this, some of the big shots heaved a sigh of relief. Indeed, as long as they didn't tell anyone about borrowing Lin Tian's teleportation formation, the 6 superpowers wouldn't know about it. There was no need to worry too much. Speaking of which, this Lin Tian is very powerful and has such a terrifying little beast by his side. However, he doesn't have the slightest bit of arrogance or overbearing attitude. He's really a good person, the hierarch of this branch said. The group of big shots fell silent. Someone said, "To be fair, this is indeed very rare. However, he's very cruel to those superpowers." According to the rumors outside, those 6 superpowers all took the initiative to provoke him. Each of them had dark and despicable thoughts, so it wouldn't be too much to treat them however they wanted. Besides, Humph, which one of those 6 superpowers is a good person? It would be better if they were all wiped out and their inheritances destroyed. Don't talk nonsense. Suddenly, the great hall fell silent. Love Go Little Say, Network of Lin Tianyi, and the others stepped through the gate. The space was dark, as if a pair of invisible hands had blocked their vision. However, the process didn't last long. After a few breaths, rays of light appeared in front of them. Then, with a few bangs, the group was shaken out of the void one after another. Beautiful mountains and rivers appeared in front of them. "We've arrived at the southern region," Whooshing Crocodile said. He could tell at a glance that the scenery around him belonged to the southern region. Lin Tian nodded and looked at the godly mathematician. "Senior, you should lead the way. Take out the mysterious heavenly mirror as soon as possible." The godly mathematician's expression was solemn and serious. After looking around, he felt a little lucky and said, "The place we're staying now is not far from the training ground. With our speed, we should be able to get there in half a day." "All right, let's go." Lin Tiandao. With Master God Diviner leading the way, the group soared into the air and headed east of the southern region. In the blink of an eye, several hours had passed. Southern region, legendary Saber Pavilion. What? In a divine hall of the legendary Saber Pavilion, angry roars rang out. Several important figures stood together, all of them shocked and furious. Just a moment ago, a disciple had reported that the soul lamps of the 3 quasi-emperors who had gone to suppress Lin Tianyi's group had all been extinguished. All 3 quasi-emperors were dead. Didn't they bring the 9 annihilation slaughter formation? It can even kill a 3rd-layer emperor. Why are they all in trouble? The 9 annihilation slaughter formation was one of the core treasures of the legendary Saber Pavilion. It was extremely powerful and could kill a 3rd-layer emperor. Its value was immeasurable. If it weren't for the mysterious heavenly mirror and the heavenly venerate ancient scriptures that Lin Tian had, such a treasure would never have appeared. Even so, the 3 quasi-emperors who had brought such a peerless treasure were all killed. This infuriated the big shots in the hall. Regardless of whether it was the death of 3 quasi-emperors or the loss of the 9 annihilation slaughter formation, it was an unbearable loss for their legendary Saber Pavilion. Damn it! Someone gritted his teeth. Humph! A cold snort was heard. Tian Suzy, who was standing at one side, said in a sinister tone, "I don't even need to think to know that it was done by that little beast. I underestimated that little beast." Because they had been thinking about the mysterious heavenly mirror, Tian Suzy and the important figures of the legendary Saber Pavilion had been waiting for news. They didn't expect that the second expert they had sent out would also fail. They still couldn't suppress Tian Suzy and his disciples and bring them back. "Master, what should we do now?" In the hall, the purple-robed middle-aged man spoke in a low voice. It was obvious that he was suppressing his anger. This time, the legendary Saber Pavilion had lost over a dozen Nirvana realm experts, 3 quasi-emperors, and a peerless treasure that could kill a 3rd-layer emperor for the sake of Tian Suzy's mysterious heavenly mirror. This price was too great. It had far exceeded the benefits that Tian Suzy's mysterious heavenly divination Tao had brought them over the years. Tian Suzy looked at the purple-robed middle-aged man. Naturally, he could sense that the purple-robed middle-aged man was suppressing his anger. He said coldly, "Are you blaming me?" "Humph! I have benefited from seizing the mysterious heavenly mirror. In the future, your legendary Saber Pavilion will also benefit. Compared to capturing Lin Tian, you have gained more benefits. You will benefit more. Don't blame me all the time." The purple-robed middle-aged man's face turned ugly. Tian Suzy's words were very direct, but it was the truth. The legendary Saber Pavilion had indeed taken action because they could rely on Tian Suzy and the mysterious heavenly mirror to strengthen their legendary Saber Pavilion after seizing the mysterious heavenly mirror. Although it was also Tian Suzy who had proposed to capture Lin Tian, they were indeed tempted. The legendary Saber Pavilion would benefit more from this. This was indisputable. The purple-robed middle-aged man clenched his fists and suppressed the anger in his heart. He repeated his previous words and asked, "What should we do next?" Tian Suzy snorted coldly. "As long as we capture them and bring them back, we can obtain the mysterious heavenly mirror and several heavenly sovereign ancient scriptures. Then, the legendary Saber Pavilion will dominate the world. Therefore, we have to continue this matter, and we have to hurry." He said, "Before that, I can calculate the specific cultivation of that little bastard so that I can make a foolproof plan this time. Of course, you can also ask the ancestors of the Saber Pavilion to bring out their trump cards and heavenly treasures. Or, you can ask the Supreme Ancestor of your faction to take action. If the Supreme Ancestor takes action, he will definitely be able to suppress them all. Dominating the world and becoming the true #1 force in the 10 Directions Heaven was indeed very tempting. The eyes of the several important figures of the legendary Saber Pavilion in the great hall shone with a strange light. Then, the purple-robed middle-aged man said, "We can't casually bring out our trump cards, and the Supreme Ancestor can't casually take action. As for the other ancestors, they might be able to take action. However, it would be best if we can determine the cultivation of that little bastard. Master, please deduce the cultivation of that little bastard first. Then, I will ask the other ancestors to make specific arrangements." The purple-robed middle-aged man said. He paused for a moment before he said, "Master, I would like to ask you one more question. Previously, when you deduced the half-step Nirvana Realm girl, one of our Nirvana Realm experts died. Now, this little bastard is undoubtedly at the primal chaos emperor realm. What is the price to deduce this little bastard's cultivation? The divination of the mysterious heavenly divination sect was very shocking. However, every time they made a divination, they would have to pay a price. The more important the divination, the stronger the cultivation of the living being, the greater the price to pay. Of course, the purple-robed middle-aged man asked this question not because he was concerned about Tion Swansea, but because he was concerned about his own faction. This was because Tion Swansea had cultivated a forbidden technique of the mysterious heavenly divination sect. He could transmit the price of the divination to others. It was equivalent to using others as a sacrifice for the divination. Over the years, every time he made a divination, the price would be borne by the disciples of the Saber Pavilion. Not long ago, when Tion Swansea was trying to deduce the half-step Nirvana realm immortal spiritual body, he had directly caused the divine soul of a Nirvana realm expert of the Saber Pavilion to shatter. This time, he was trying to deduce the cultivation of an Emperor realm expert. He wanted to know the price his disciples would have to pay this time. Of course, this was not because he cherished his disciples, but purely because he wanted to know more about this matter before it happened, so that he could have a plan in mind. Tion Swansea snorted. The reason why a Nirvana realm expert died in the divination last time was because she had an immortal spiritual body. She was blessed by the great Tao and was at the half-step Nirvana realm, so the Tao fruit was heavier. As for this time, although the little bastard is at the Emperor realm and its cultivation is far stronger than that immortal spiritual body girl, it isn't favored by the great Tao and isn't protected by the great Tao. Therefore, the price it will have to pay is about the same as that half-step Nirvana immortal spiritual body. At most, it will be the life of a Nirvana realm disciple, or even less. The purple-robed middle-aged man nodded. All right, I will order people to prepare the person who will take over the Tao fruit on behalf of Master. Once everything is ready, I will immediately order people to invite Master over. With that, the purple-robed middle-aged man turned around and walked out of the hall. He soon disappeared into the distance. Tion Swansea snorted coldly. A dark light flashed in his eyes as he looked at the sky outside the hall. The mysterious heavenly divine mirror is mine. Southern region. Lin Tianyi's group moved very quickly. Half a day passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the group appeared in front of a steep valley. There were wisps of white mist floating inside. "We're here!" Tion Swansea opened his mouth. Wisps of light involuntarily appeared in his eyes. This was because the mysterious heavenly divine dojo of the mysterious heavenly divination sect was located here. There was an unfathomable mysterious heavenly divine mirror left behind by their sect's founder. Lin Tianyi's eyes also flashed as he looked at the valley in front of him. The mysterious heavenly divine dojo is in this valley. P.S. The second update should be around 22 p.m. Chapter 1125. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Lin Tion's eyes flashed as he looked at the valley in front of him. He took out the dragon burial scripture to observe. After a while, he was surprised. This place looks very ordinary. With his current cultivation, he found that this place was very ordinary after taking out the dragon burial scripture. There was nothing noteworthy about this place. It doesn't seem to be anything special. Wuxing Crocodile said, looking around from this place. There was nothing out of the ordinary except for the thick fog floating in the valley. Lingyan looked at Master Clairvoyant and asked, Master Clairvoyant, are you sure this is the place? Did you remember the location wrongly? Yes, this is the place. Master Clairvoyant said seriously. To enter the valley, you need to carve a special rune at a specific location. Then, you need to use your immortal spiritual body's aura to open the entrance to the Tianji Dojo. Then, you can enter to obtain the Tianji Divine Mirror. The entire process of opening the entrance will take roughly 3 days. 3 days? So long? Master Clairvoyant said. Wuxing Crocodile was concerned about another aspect. After carving a special rune, you need to use your immortal spiritual body's aura to open the door to the Tianji Dojo. That means that even if your senior brother Tion Swansea knew the exact location of the Tianji dojo, he wouldn't be able to open it and obtain the Tianji divine mirror? Master Clairvoyant nodded. Yes. If that's the case, why didn't you just tell those people from the legendary Saber Pavilion about the location of this place? Anyway, Tion Swansea wouldn't be able to open it, and you wouldn't have to be seriously injured by those people. Whooshing Crocodile rolled its eyes. Lin Tion looked at it. Can't you think fast enough? Given the divine mathematician's temperament, he must have told the people of the legendary Saber Pavilion to kill the divine mathematician and misty as soon as they found out the location of the heavenly secret dojo. If they revealed the location, they would be killed by the people of the legendary Saber Pavilion. On the other hand, if they didn't reveal the location, they would have a chance to live. Moreover, since this was a place left behind by the primogenitor, even if the other party couldn't obtain anything, they couldn't let him act presumptuously here. This was loyalty and filial piety. Love go little say, Netachu, the marvelous mathematician nodded. It is as you say. How smart. Yin Yair giggled. Lin Tianyi smiled. Immediately, the group of people entered the mountain valley. There was a lot of white fog in the mountain valley, and the terrain was very open. The marvelous mathematician led the way. After about an hour, they found a crimson stone according to the ancestral teachings of the heavenly secret divination sect. This crimson stone was very rough, and it was already covered in sand and dust. There were stalks of grass growing around it, and they were all ordinary stalks of grass. Even in the mortal world, they could be seen. Occasionally, there would be a few drops of dew on a blade of grass. According to the ancestral teachings, this is the place. The marvelous mathematician pointed at the crimson stone. The surface of the crimson stone was about 7 square meters. Lin Tion observed it with the dragon burial scripture, but still couldn't see anything special. It was just an ordinary stone. This place is really a little unfathomable. He couldn't help but laugh. Then he tilted his head to look at the marvelous mathematician and Yin Yair. Then, Senior Monsieur, let's start now. The sooner we open the heavenly secret dojo and take out the divine mirror, the safer we will be. The marvelous mathematician nodded. Then, he told Yin Yair all the runes and handprints recorded in the heavenly secret dojo. Remember, the process of inscribing runes can't be interrupted. It must be done in one go. In addition, during the process of forming the handprints, each handprint must be driven by the immortal spirit origin. Any mistake will lead to failure, and you will have to start all over again. I understand, Master. Yin Yair said seriously. The marvelous mathematician nodded. He waved his hand to sweep away the dust on the crimson stone and let Yin Yair get on it. Then he retreated. Lin Tion chuckled and nodded at Yin Yair. Then he also retreated. Beside him, Whooshing Crocodile and Ling Yun naturally retreated as well. At this time, Yin Yair was about to start inscribing the runes to open the heavenly secret dojo. The process was strict and important. They couldn't be disturbed. If they got too close, they might affect the other party. Yin Yair looked back at Lin Tion and the others. She chuckled. Divine light intertwined in her body, flickering. Buzz! Suddenly, rich light of the way appeared from all directions and surrounded them. This is truly the immortal spirit body. Just by using her divine power, she can cause the great Tao to shine and intertwine. This is really amazing. She really is the darling of the great Tao. Whooshing Crocodile sighed. Based on this situation, once this body is cultivated to the great Tao, it will be really amazing. It's almost as if every move of hers is the great Tao. Lin Tion was also a little surprised, but only for a moment. After all, he had the strongest king body. Buzz! In front of them, on the crimson stone, Yin Yair concentrated. Her divine power moved, and the light of the great Tao surrounded her. It was like a Ruashian descending. After dozens of breaths, she began to move. She combined her divine power and the light of the way to inscribe mysterious runes on the crimson stone. Every stroke seemed very slow. After dozens of breaths, she finally finished inscribing the first rune. So slow? Ling Yun's eyes widened. Lin Tian stared at the runes that Yin Yair had finished inscribing on the crimson stone. His eyes flashed. This rune is a little special. He tried to brew it in his sea of consciousness and found that he could inscribe this kind of rune very easily. He could inscribe it in his sea of consciousness just by raising his hand. However, when he compared the runes that he had inscribed in his sea of consciousness with the runes that Yin Yair had inscribed, he found that the runes that he had inscribed were only the same in appearance as the runes that Yin Yair had inscribed. In other aspects, they were much worse. The runes that he had inscribed were like a simple word, but the runes that Yin Yair had inscribed carried a special kind of immortal essence. There was an obvious difference between the two. He paused and tilted his head to look at the marvelous mathematician. He asked, "Only the immortal spirit body can manifest the true meaning of this rune." Facing Lin Tian's tilted head, the marvelous mathematician nodded. "Little brother, you're really not simple. You saw through it in an instant." "That's right. This rune was deduced by the ancestor of the divination sect. It's called the immortal spirit rune. It's only effective when inscribed by the immortal spirit body. However, it takes a lot of energy and is very slow. On the other hand, it's very easy for people who don't have the immortal spirit body to inscribe it. They can inscribe it in an instant. However, after inscribing it, it's just a symbol. It has no meaning or effect." As expected, Lin Tian nodded. It was just as he had guessed. Buzz! Dao light flashed in front of them. Yin Yair began to inscribe the second immortal spirit rune. Her speed was very slow, and her expression was very focused. Time flew, and half a day passed in the blink of an eye. Half a day later, Yin Yair had inscribed even more immortal spirit runes. The Dao light in the surrounding space surged like waves. The first step of the immortal spirit runes is almost half done. In another half a day, I should be able to start forming the seals to open the door of Dao. This is much faster than I expected. Perhaps it'll take at most 2 days to open the door of the Tianji dojo. Then I'll step inside and take out the Tianji godly mirror left by the ancestor. Master Godly Mathematician looked at Yin Yair in front of him and smiled. Previously, when he said she would need 3 days, it was based on Yin Yair's current level of cultivation. But now he said she would need at most 2 days. This was enough to show that Yin Yair was much more outstanding than he had expected. As her master, he was naturally happy and proud. When Lin Tian saw the expression on Master God Diviner's face, he could naturally guess what Master God Diviner was thinking at this moment. He could not help but smile, but he did not say anything. He quietly stood by the side to prevent any unexpected changes from happening. Southern Region, Legendary Saber Pavilion. Spiritual light intertwined in the Legendary Saber Pavilion. Many important figures of this branch were gathered at a flat area in the northeast corner. This flat ground seemed to be very bright and clean, and it was densely inscribed with talisman markings that flickered with strands of light. They occupied an area of over 30 m in circumference, and they formed an enormous formation. This formation had a strange aura. There were 2 circles formed by runes inside. At this moment, there was a figure standing in each circle. One of them was a middle-aged man in green. His face was expressionless and gave off the feeling of a mold. He was so numb that he looked like a puppet. In the other circle stood a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe with sinister eyes. It was Master Godly Mathematician. "Master, can we begin the calculation?" Outside the formation, a middle-aged man in purple robes spoke. Not long ago, the middle-aged man in purple robes had left the Hall of Legacy and began to prepare. He chose the middle-aged man in green as the sacrifice to replace Master Godly Mathematician. His cultivation was at the 2nd level of Nirvana realm, and his self-awareness had been erased. According to Master Godly Mathematician, the price of calculating the specific cultivation of the little beast around Lin Tian was at most the life of an ordinary Nirvana realm cultivator, or even less. Therefore, a 2nd-level Nirvana realm middle-aged man in green was enough. Their legendary Saber Pavilion, as one of the top forces in the 9th heaven, has many Nirvana realm cultivators. Losing one isn't a big deal. The most important thing is that all of this is for their legendary Saber Pavilion to dominate the 10 heavens in the future. Of course. Inside the formation, Master Godly Mathematician smiled sinisterly. He directly raised his hand, formed a seal in front of his chest, and began to perform the divination. Immediately, the runes under his feet became brighter, and the circle where he and the middle-aged man in green were standing also emitted light. This formation is a forbidden technique of the divine divination lineage. The two circles are connected by special runes. After that, the price he suffers during the calculation process will be transmitted to the middle-aged man in green through this formation. Buzz! Master Godly Mathematician formed a seal, and strands of runes intertwined around him. He used his divine sense to transform the phantom of the little Taichu into the little Taichu, making the phantom of the little Taichu look like a real entity. Immediately after, he shook forcefully and sent the phantom of little Taichu that he created with his divine sense and infused with the heavenly secret Tao pattern into the sky, disappearing into the void. Suddenly, dense mysterious Tao patterns appeared, condensing into a mysterious array diagram in the sky. It was very magical. Master Godly Mathematician sneered. His hands slowly formed a seal, and he chanted in the foreign language. 3,000 great Daos as my guide. Myriad sects manifest mirror clear heart. Chaos open. Booms. Suddenly, the sky trembled, and a sudden clap of thunder resounded through the ninth heaven, directly interrupting Master Godly Mathematician's chant. An incomparably oppressive aura emerged in an instant, as if it came from an eternal, unknown place. It descended majestically and instantly shrouded the entire legendary Saber Pavilion. Chapter 11:26. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by, go divided by little? Say net, providing you with wonderful novels to read. The oppressive aura descended as if the universe was about to fall. The entire legendary Saber Pavilion trembled as if there was a huge earthquake. The pavilions shook as if they were about to collapse at any moment. Love go, little say, W. Chew with a buzzing sound. The legendary Saber Pavilion's defensive arrays lit up and activated on their own, exuding a shocking Emperor's aura. Even so, the runes of the grand defensive formations were trembling. The purple-robed middle-aged man and the others were shocked. What's going on? What's happening? The other big shots in this faction were also shocked. At this moment, the Emperor Guardian formation of their faction lit up on its own. It was trembling non-stop, as if it was going to shatter at any moment. This is... Tion Swansea trembled as he stared at the sky. His eyes were filled with shock as cold sweat dripped down his forehead. Boom! Thunder rumbled as if a peerless heavenly tribulation was about to descend. The bright sky became dull as thunderclouds surged. In an instant, the sky became pitch black, covering all directions. Boom! Thunder rumbled as lightning intertwined in the sky. Darkness spread in all directions like a fog. In the blink of an eye, the entire southern region turned pitch black as countless living beings trembled in fear. What's going on? Why did the sky turn dark? This oppressive aura, what is it? The territory of the southern region was boundless, and no one knew how vast it was. At this moment, all the cultivators in this land were shocked and frightened. They all looked at the sky that suddenly turned pitch black. They all looked at the rolling thunder and felt as if the end of the world had arrived. Even the powerful half-step monarchs were trembling at this moment. Inside the Immortal Spirit Mountain Valley, Lin Tion and the others were guarding Yinya as she engraved the Immortal Spirit runes. At this moment, they were all shocked. Even someone as powerful as Lin Tion's expression changed at this moment. The heavens suddenly became pitch black, and that mighty aura was too oppressive. This is really very similar to the scene of Lin Brat's heavenly tribulation. However, it's even more terrifying. It's simply, whooshing crocodile glared at him. Motherf asterisk Kerr, this aura. Even Lord Ling feels like he can't breathe. Ling Yun swallowed his saliva. Even the usually calm Master God Diviner was shocked. This scene was truly frightening. Lin Tian looked at the sky and then at Yin Yu, who was in front of him, and found that her body was trembling slightly. Obviously, she was affected. Immediately, he took a step forward and instantly appeared about 10 feet away from the crimson stone. Golden divine light rushed out of his body and formed a golden light screen of divine power. With the crimson stone as the center, it completely covered the space of 10 feet around it, protecting Yin Yabur. At the same time, it interweaved with strands of sealing formation patterns, completely isolating the aura of the outside world. Suddenly, Yin Yabur's body slowed down, and she was obviously much more relaxed. It was as if a huge rock had been lifted from her shoulders. She looked up at Lin Tian and blinked her eyes. "Thank you." Lin Tian chuckled and shook his head. Then he looked up at the heavens again. At this moment, the originally bright sky suddenly turned dark. Strands of lightning could be seen interweaving in the sky. Indeed, as Whooshing Crocodile had said, it was very similar to his heavenly tribulation. Moreover, the aura was many times more terrifying than any of the heavenly tribulations he had experienced. However, he also knew that this was not a heavenly tribulation because it did not have the unique aura of a heavenly tribulation. Southern Region, Legendary Saber Pavilion. Boom! Thunder rumbled. At this moment, the sky above the Legendary Saber Pavilion was densely covered by lightning. It was as if a sea of lightning had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Its range covered the entire Legendary Saber Pavilion, and its aura was terrifying. The purple-robed middle-aged man and the others were quasi-emperors, but they were all shocked by this scene. Tian Suazi was even more terrified. How can this be? Well, what is it? At this moment, the sinister look in Tian Suazi's eyes disappeared. His entire body was covered by fear, and he could not help but tremble. He staggered backward, knowing that this scene had something to do with the little beast that he had divined. The great Tao was enraged. Boom! The heavens shook, and thunder rumbled violently. In an instant, the protective emperor rays of the Legendary Saber Pavilion lit up on their own. In the next moment, dense lightning fell like rain. It was as if a heavenly tribulation had descended, and lightning struck all things. In an instant, the halls and divine pavilions in the Legacy Saber Pavilion collapsed one after another. Ah! Screams rang out in every corner of the Legendary Saber Pavilion. Many disciples of the Legendary Saber Pavilion covered their heads and fled in panic. At the same time, where Tian Suazi and the others were, the lightning was the densest, and the destructive power was the most terrifying. With a puff, the middle-aged man in green, who had borne the price for Tian Suazi, exploded. Not even a mist of blood was left behind. The surrounding space shattered one after another. Damn it, what's going on? In this place, the other dozen or so important figures of this lineage each used their powerful divine power to block and dodge the chaotic lightning that fell. They were all battered and exhausted. Ah! Screams rang out. A quasi-emperor was struck by dozens of destructive lightning. His physical body exploded and his spirit shattered. Blood splattered in all directions. Tian Suazi trembled. He propped up a peak sacred weapon level black cauldron to protect himself as he frantically dodged the lightning. The purple-robed middle-aged man looked at Tian Suazi and growled. Tian Suazi, what's going on? Didn't you say that divining that little beast would only cost a nirvana cultivator at most? What's going on now? Why is this happening? Evidently, the purple-robed middle-aged man knew that this scene was caused by Tian Suazi's divining of the little beast beside Lin Tian. He was so angry that he no longer addressed Tian Suazi as master, but as Tian Suazi. No, I don't know. It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be. Well, what is it? Tian Suazi trembled. Although he was only at the nirvana stage, his mastery of the way of divination had already reached a very profound level. According to his estimation, the price of divining the emperor-level little alpha primordium beside Lin Tian would at most result in the death of a nirvana stage cultivator. However, he had never imagined that he would attract such a disaster as soon as the little alpha primordium's figure disappeared into nothingness and divined. The purple-robed middle-aged man was furious. Bolts of lightning struck their legendary saber pavilion, shrouding all directions and shattering their protective emperor runes. It was as though an emperor was wielding divine lightning in the firmament to attack. In this short period of time, a large number of buildings in their legendary saber pavilion had been destroyed. Countless disciples had died, and even a quasi-emperor had been struck to death in this place. The price to pay was simply too great. This was simply a natural disaster. All of this was caused by Tion Suezi's divination of the little beast beside Lin Tion. You deserve to die? The purple-robed middle-aged man was enraged to the extreme. Boom! Lightning rumbled, surging across the firmament and striking down continuously. The sky was pitch black, and the void was crumbling inch by inch. It was as though the end of the world had arrived. The massive legendary saber pavilion had sunk into a sea of destruction at this moment. Boom! An emperor's aura surged from the legendary saber pavilion as a golden-robed elder stepped out. In the blink of an eye, he appeared where the purple-robed middle-aged man, Tion Suezi, and the others were. His tyrannical emperor's aura swept up a huge gust of wind and repelled all the bolts of lightning that were falling on the legendary saber pavilion. Emperor Qi interweaved and protected the entire legendary saber pavilion. Ancestor, the purple-robed middle-aged man revealed a joyful expression and hurriedly bowed. This was an ancestor of their lineage at the third heaven of the Emperor realm. Beside him, Tion Suezi also bowed towards the golden-robed elder. At the same time, he heaved a sigh of relief, and the fear in his eyes lessened. At this moment, the Emperor Realm ancestor of the legendary Saber Pavilion had stepped out. He felt that the other party should be able to resolve this disaster. The golden-robed elder stood in the sky and looked at the pitch-black firmament. His expression changed slightly. He then swept his gaze across the legendary Saber Pavilion and finally looked at Tion Suezi and the purple-robed middle-aged man. He asked in a low voice, "What's going on?" He was in seclusion when he suddenly felt that his lineage's protective array had shattered. Under the pressure of a destructive force, he stepped out. He did not expect to see such a scene. The sky was pitch black, and many of the legendary Saber Pavilion's buildings were destroyed. Many disciples had also died. He even felt that a quasi-emperor expert had fallen in this place. When the purple-robed middle-aged man heard this, anger surfaced in his eyes. He looked at Tion Suezi and said, he was making a divination and caused all of this. The purple-robed middle-aged man was truly furious. During this period of time, the legendary Saber Pavilion had suffered great losses because of Tion Suezi. Tion Suezi's expression was ugly. I didn't want... Boom! At that moment, the firmament roared again. The thunder was even more intense, and the sky became even darker. In the next moment, the pitch-black sky split open. The shadow of a true dragon rushed out. The immortal phoenix let out a long cry. The black tortoise shook the 9 seas, and the vermilion bird flapped its wings. 4 legendary immortal spirits appeared, and a mighty divine power descended. Then, in the next moment, in the dark sky, in the middle of the 4 celestial spirits, a hazy figure appeared. The 4 celestial spirits surrounded him like a guardian. The 3,000 great Tao appeared at the same time at this moment, trembling together as if they were worshipping this figure. In an instant, only this hazy figure was left in the world. All things lost their voices, and the world fell silent. In the immortal spirit valley, Lin Tion and the others looked at the sky. Because they were too far away, they could not see the 4 immortal spirits and the hazy figure above the legendary Saber Pavilion. However, they could feel an incomparably terrifying aura. Even someone as powerful as Lin Tion was shocked. His eyes could not help but flicker. This aura was too terrifying. He felt that the great Daos seemed to be submitting to this aura. Above his head, the little Taichu raised its head and looked in the direction of the legendary Saber Pavilion. A trace of confusion appeared in its big, watery eyes. It was like a child sleep-talking. So familiar, Chapter 11:27. Lin Tian looked at the sky, but he also noticed the little Taichu's strange behavior. He asked, "What's wrong, little guy?" "Yeah." The little guy looked into the distance and was a little confused. "I don't know. I just feel a sense of familiarity." A sense of familiarity? Lin Tianwei was puzzled. The little guy nodded and looked in the direction of the legendary saber pavilion with its big watery eyes. It muttered, "It's very familiar." Lin Tian followed the little guy's gaze and was slightly moved. He frowned. "That's the legendary saber pavilion?" Since the matter between the godly mathematician and Yin Yi involved the legendary saber pavilion, he had learned about the legendary saber pavilion from the whooshing crocodile. Therefore, he naturally knew where the legendary saber pavilion was located. Boom! The sky above the legendary saber pavilion rumbled. The true dragon circled. The immortal phoenix let out a long cry. The black tortoise swam in the sea, and the vermilion bird flapped its wings. All kinds of great Tao lights surged and surrounded a hazy figure. It made the figure look like an ancient emperor. The 3,000 great Tao trembled and buzzed. This scene was a bit frightening. For a moment, the cultivators of the Era Legacy Saber Pavilion felt their hearts palpitate. Even the old men in golden robes who walked out from the depths of the Era Legacy Saber Pavilion felt waves of fear and involuntarily trembled. This is the golden-robed elder's heart trembled. The purple-robed middle-aged man and the other important figures of the legendary Saber Pavilion trembled. At this moment, they looked at the hazy figure in the sky. They could not see the figure's appearance clearly, but they could feel the terrifying fluctuation. They felt like they were ants before the figure. How can this be? What is its origin? Tian Suzy was terrified. He had never thought that divining the little beast would lead to such a terrifying scene. With a rumbling sound, the sky became even darker. Densely packed lightning interweaved. The 4 great celestial spirits circled around the hazy figure. 3,000 great Tao surrendered around it, as if they were worshipping an immortal emperor. Because of this, the world was trembling. This hazy figure's appearance could not be seen clearly. His eyes were also blurry as he looked down at Tian Suzy from the sky. Tian Swansea immediately trembled violently. His eyes were completely filled with fear as he stepped back. At the same time, he looked at the Emperor Realm golden-robed elder and said, "Senior, save me." At this time, he regretted that he didn't calculate that little beast. No matter what, he didn't expect that calculating that little beast would have such a terrible price. At this moment, he clearly felt the threat of death. Being looked down at by that hazy figure, he felt as if there was a big hand strangling his throat. The golden-robed elder was just like the purple-robed middle-aged man. He was both shocked and angry. He stared at Tian Swansea and roared, "You have already done it, boom!" The sky trembled and thunder rumbled, interrupting the golden-robed elder's words. In the sky, the 4 legendary divine beasts and immortal spirits of the primitive era roared together and pressed down on Tian Suzy. At the same time, the dense lightning bolts in the pitch-black sky struck down with the 4 divine beasts and immortal essences. For a time, a surging aura of destruction descended, suppressing all directions. They were so fast that the golden-robed elder couldn't react in time. He was directly pressed down by the 4 spiritual thunderbolts. Boom! The legendary saber pavilion trembled. The place where the golden-robed elder and Tian Swansea was drowned in endless divine light in the blink of an eye. No! A terrified cry came from the divine light. Then it disappeared in an instant. One could vaguely see that there was a blood-red light exploding in the endless divine light. Then, the divine light dissipated, and smoke and dust covered the surroundings. Lightning arcs intertwined in the void, crackling. When the smoke and dust dispersed, a bottomless black hole appeared where Tian Swansea and the others were. Everyone, including the golden-robed elder, had disappeared without a trace. In the sky, the hazy figure didn't move at all. The 3,000 great Daos around him submitted, and then slowly dissipated. Suddenly, the oppressive aura disappeared. The darkness that shrouded the southern region dissipated, and light reappeared in this large region. Our sect, what happened? In the legendary Saber Pavilion, a group of disciples trembled in fear. At this moment, half of the legendary Saber Pavilion had collapsed, and the entire place where the sect was established was torn apart. It was almost half destroyed. Immortal Spirit Valley. It's restored. Lin Tian looked at the sky that had regained its light and whispered to himself, "What happened just now?" At this moment, as the darkness dissipated, the sky regained its light, and the oppressive aura from before disappeared without a trace. The whole process, from the beginning to now, did not last long, which made him somewhat puzzled. Yeah, the little Taichu lay on top of his head and looked in the direction of the legendary Saber Pavilion. It said dreamily, "I don't feel anything." What kind of familiar feeling is it? Lin Tian was a little concerned about the little fellow's feelings. The little Taichu thought for a moment. It's a familiar feeling. Lin Tian blushed with shame. He didn't seem to understand it. Yeah, the little fellow shook its little head. It was confused for a moment, then shook its little head again. Ignore it, Lin Tian. At this moment, the Tao light on the crimson stone in front of them became even more turbulent, circling around Yin Yamur. Dense immortal spirit runes had been engraved on the crimson stone, and each immortal spirit rune had an immortal rhythm. More than half of the runes have been engraved. Soon, the immortal spirit seal will be formed, and the entrance to the heavenly secret dojo will be opened. The clairvoyant master said. At this moment, the sky brightened, and the oppressive aura disappeared. He had calmed down. Lin Tian nodded. Since the sky had returned to normal, it would not interfere or affect Yin Yamur's engraving of immortal spirit runes. Therefore, he retracted the golden divine light that shrouded the crimson stone and retreated at this moment. Beside him, Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun had also calmed down from the sudden darkening of the sky. They did not think too much about it. After all, they had only seen the sky darken and felt the oppressive aura. There was nothing else. At this moment, the man and Crocodile both looked at Yin Yamur in front of them. Ling Yun said, "The Tao light has become thicker. It should have something to do with those immortal spirit runes. The more runes are engraved, the more turbulent the surrounding Tao energy will be." Lin Tian said. The group of people quietly watched Yin Yamur engrave the immortal spirit runes. They had completely forgotten about the strange phenomenon from before. Then, in the blink of an eye, 10 hours had passed. At this moment, the Tao light on the crimson stone had become even thicker. 3 full rings of immortal spirit runes had been engraved on it. Each immortal spirit rune was intertwined with a strange Tao aura and emitted strands of milky white light. The first step is done. Now, we can begin to form the seal to open the heavenly secret dojo's entrance. The clairvoyant said to Yin Yamur, remember, you must form the seal with your immortal spirit origin energy. Otherwise, you will have to start all over again. Yin Yamur looked over and said, "Yes, I understand, Master." As she spoke, she could not help but look at Lin Tian beside her. Lin Tian chuckled and did not say anything. He gave Yin Yamur a thumbs up. Yin Yamur blinked and gathered her thoughts. Her aura became very ethereal in the blink of an eye. She immediately released her immortal spirit origin energy. Buzz! She raised her hand and began to form seals. Every single seal was extremely complicated. With every seal she formed, the 3 rings of immortal spirit runes on the crimson stone would emit waves of dazzling light. As she formed more and more seals, the light emitted by the immortal spirit runes on the crimson stone became even more dazzling, and the Tao energy intertwined with each other became even denser. "Senior, how long will this process take?" Lin Tian asked the clairvoyant softly. The clairvoyant said, "Because there are many immortal spirit seals needed to open the dojo, and each seal needs to be condensed with immortal spirit energy, the process will not end so quickly. Before this, I estimated that it would take roughly 10 hours to complete this step. But now, it seems that your is more outstanding than I thought. 6 hours should be enough. Lin Tian nodded and did not say anything else. He quietly looked ahead. Yin Yip continued to form the seal. The immortal spirit energy outside her body became stronger and stronger. The immortal spirit runes on the crimson stone became brighter and brighter. Just like that, 6 hours passed in the blink of an eye. 6 hours. This time, it was exactly as Master, godly mathematician, had predicted. At this moment, Yin Yip finished forming the hand seals. The immortal spirit runes on the crimson stone suddenly shone brightly. Then, they turned into an immortal spirit Tao pattern diagram and floated up. This Tao pattern was intertwined with a dense, immortal spirit light. As it floated up, it reached a height of more than 1,000 feet in the sky. Open! Yinya maintained her final hand gesture and softly spat out this word. Instantly, the immortal spirit Tao pattern trembled slightly. It directly swept out waves of immortal spirit hurricanes. The surrounding space trembled. A void door that looked like a vortex appeared. Billowing Tao energy gushed out in an instant. It was like a monstrous wave on a vast ocean. However, the intertwined aura was incomparably gentle, giving people a feeling of a gentle breeze and warm sun. The clairvoyant looked at the void door that Yin Yupper had opened. His eyes lit up. His pupils could not help but flicker. He was a little excited. After all, behind this void door was the heavenly secret dojo left behind by the ancestor of the heavenly secret dojo. It could be said that it was the holy land of the heavenly secret dojo. Moreover, it was the first time that the heavenly secret dojo had been opened. As the successor of the heavenly secret dojo, how could he not be excited? Lin Tian looked at the vortex-like void door that had appeared in the sky. He felt the surrounding aura and was slightly moved. This is a very strong sealing power. He looked at the sky. The vortex-like void door was slowly expanding. He could clearly feel the dense sealing power of the divine Tao energy. The density of the divine Tao energy shocked him. Chapter 11:28. Hearing Whooshing Crocodile's words, Lin Tian nodded. Indeed, an ordinary Ninth Heaven Emperor wouldn't be able to create such a dense seal. Judging from this situation, the progenitor of the divination lineage wasn't simple at all. In the sky above, the light of the immortal spirit pattern became even brighter, causing the vortex-shaped portal in the void to gradually become larger. The power of the seal around it shattered bit by bit, and the power of the great path surged out even more, filling the sky with light of the way. Then, in the blink of an eye, dozens of breaths passed, and the whirlpool-like void door stabilized. It was about 10 feet wide, and from the outside to the inside, they could already see the scenery inside. Mountains, rivers, grass, trees, rivers, the sky, everything one could think of was there. It was like a real small world. After reaching the primal chaos realm, one can combine their divine power and life origin to create a small world that is relatively real. Is this so-called Heaven's Secret Dojo a small world created by the progenitor of Heaven's Secret? Lin Tian was slightly moved. He wasn't unfamiliar with this small world. Back then, he saw an old drunkard use it, so he naturally recognized it. In the sky, the void door stabilized completely, and specks of light shone. It's done. Yinyura looked at the oracle, Lin Tianyi, and the others. The oracle's eyes shone brightly, and his excitement was beyond words. After taking a deep breath, he calmed down. Let's go in. Although the divination lineage's teaching said that only immortal spirit bodies could enter the divination dojo to retrieve the divination divine mirror, it wasn't a violation of the divination lineage's teachings if they went with immortal spirit bodies, so there was no problem. Then, the group stepped forward and entered the whirlpool-like void door in the blink of an eye. In an instant, the group of people appeared in the small world that they had seen earlier. At this moment, looking as far as the eye could see, this small world was very vast. The sky was blue, the grass was green, and the rivers were gentle. Everything seemed real, and there was a kind of softness. Moreover, When they truly entered this small world, the group felt a very shocking, immortal rhythm. There was a bit of condensed spiritual energy floating in the air. Not simple at all. Such a space is almost no different from a real big world. Whooshing Crocodile was shocked. Even someone as powerful as Lin Tian was moved. This space was truly too extraordinary. Being in this space, he felt that it was no different from being in the outside world. In fact, it felt even better. This caused him to be involuntarily astonished, and he even slightly doubted whether a primal chaos emperor could really produce such a small world. At the side, Ling Yin was also surprised. Then he discovered something else and said, "The void door we used to enter has disappeared." Lin Tian looked back. The whirlpool-like portal that they had just entered through was really gone. It seems like this space sealed the door on its own. Then it seems like I can easily open it from the inside. Yennewer said at this moment, using the immortal spiritual runes and immortal spiritual seals to open this Tianji dojo, she understood some basic things about this small world in the process. At this moment, she used her immortal spiritual energy to form a simple seal. Instantly, a whirlpool-like void door appeared in front of the group. They could clearly see the immortal spiritual valley outside. Lin Tian looked at the void door and couldn't help but smile. Leaving from here is really much easier than entering. Oh, almost. Yin Yip giggled. In this small world, the light and Tao energy were very dense, and the spirit energy was also very strong. However, it was very gentle, and as the group stood in this small world, they all felt very comfortable, as if they were soaking in a spiritual hot spring. Then, where's the Tianji godly mirror? Whooshing Crocodile asked. Lin Tian looked around before looking into the distance. A white pagoda appeared before his eyes. It should be over there. Not far away, behind a dozen or so mountain ranges, there was an immortal pagoda over 1,000 feet tall. It stood out like a crane among a flock of chickens, and no matter how one looked at it, it was a little special. You're right. According to the ancestral teachings, the Tianji godly mirror is indeed within that immortal spirit tower. Master Godly Diviner said. Lin Tianyi turned to Yinya with a smile. Then let's go. Yinya nodded before turning to Master Godly Diviner. Then, the group rose into the air and flew toward the White Pagoda. The White Pagoda was situated behind a dozen or so mountain ranges, so it was a little far from here. However, none of them were weak, so this distance was not a problem for them. After just a few dozen breaths, they had all arrived in front of the White Pagoda. The White Pagoda was constructed from some unknown material, and there was a faint light revolving around it. Creak! All of a sudden, a crisp creak sounded. Light and mist revolved around the White Pagoda, and the stone door up ahead opened on its own. Lin Tian and the others faltered slightly upon seeing this. The stone door of the White Pagoda had opened on its own. Even Master Godly Diviner was slightly surprised, but he quickly came to his senses and nodded to Yin Yabur. Let's go. Lin Tian spoke. Yin Yabur nodded before leading the way into the White Pagoda. Lin Tian and the others followed behind her and also entered the pagoda. In the blink of an eye, everyone had entered the pagoda. The interior of the White Pagoda was extremely spacious, and wisps of immortal spiritual light revolved around it. There were no levels, and the top of the pagoda was a vast expanse of silver and black with a series of illusory stars twinkling around it. It was quite a peculiar sight to behold. Lin Tian and the others were slightly surprised. The top of the pagoda really was quite extraordinary. It was as if they were looking at a starry night sky. Whooshing Crocodile looked around. The Tianji godly mirror is whoosh. In the White Pagoda, wisps of immortal spiritual light rippled like water ripples and gathered towards the center of the pagoda. After a few breaths of time, as the immortal spiritual light intertwined, an illusory figure appeared and gradually evolved into a beautiful woman. Most importantly, this woman had an indescribable temperament. As she appeared, the interior of the White Pagoda seemed to have turned into a sea of Tao, with endless Tao light surging. For a moment, everyone's expression changed. This the ancestor of the Tianji lineage. Wuxing Crocodile and Ling Yun's expressions changed. Even Lin Tian couldn't help but be surprised. This woman in front of him was not only beautiful, but her temperament was also extraordinary. Just by standing there, she gave him the feeling that she was the great Tao. He couldn't help but tremble. Primo? Ancestor? The divine mathematician's expression changed at this time. His eyes flashed with excitement, which then turned into respect. He bowed to the woman seriously. Disciple greets the ancestor. He was the orthodox descendant of the Tianji lineage. Naturally, he had seen the portrait of the ancestor of the Tianji lineage in the history books of his lineage. It was exactly the same as the woman in front of him. Seeing this, Yin also bowed slightly to the woman. It's really the ancestor of the Tianji lineage? She actually appeared in this place. Did she leave a divine soul mark? Wuxing Crocodile stared at the woman in front of him. As far as it knows, although the Tianji lineage isn't a superforce, it has existed for a very long time, even longer than the top forces in the ninth heaven. As the founder of the Tianji lineage, it was really surprising that the ancestor of the Tianji lineage would appear here. Ling Yun looked straight at the woman and murmured, So beautiful." Listening to this exclamation, Lin Tian was really speechless. He looked at the woman. At this time, he could see that the other party wasn't a physical entity. It was just a wisp of divine soul mark left here. At the moment when Yin Yaber, who has the immortal spiritual body, came here, she revealed her former figure. He didn't greet her and just stood there quietly. After all, even though this woman was extraordinary and was the primogenitor of the heavens' legacy bloodline, an expert from countless years ago, she had nothing to do with him, so there was no need for him to greet her. "Welcome." A soft voice floated in the air, giving people a feeling of a spring breeze. Inside the tower, the ancestor of the Tianji lineage spoke. Her eyes were incomparably gentle, as if made of water, falling on Lin Tian's body. "It's been too long." Lin Tian couldn't help but be moved. Wuxing Crocodile was moved. Ling Yun was moved. Even the divine mathematician and Yin Ye were moved. This, Wuxing Crocodile opened his mouth, a strange expression on his face. The woman in the white tower, the ancestor of the Tianji lineage, the mark left behind by the ancestor of the Tianji lineage countless years ago, condensed here. At this time, the first thing she looked at was not the successor of her lineage, but Lin Tian. This was really strange. "Senior Yu," Lin Tian frowned slightly. The other party's current state was very similar to that of the Bai clan's ancestor in the supreme divine zone. Did she see through his reincarnation body? The woman's figure was illusory. At a glance, one could see that she wasn't a physical entity. She didn't have a physical body, but was purely formed by the immortal spiritual light. She looked at Lin Tian and smiled. Her gaze was very gentle, but she didn't say anything. Then, she looked away and looked at the divine mathematician and Yin Yer. No need to be so polite. She seemed very calm. Then, her gaze fell on Yin Yer. Her right hand tapped lightly, and a circle of immortal spiritual light immediately enveloped Yin Yer. Then, she was pulled to her side. "Yer, the immortal spiritual body, has finally arrived," the woman said softly, and smiled at Yin Yer. This made Lin Tian and the others slightly moved. They secretly thought that she was indeed the founder of the divine mystery branch. She had only left a spiritual imprint here, but now, when she saw Yin Yer, she didn't do anything and directly said Yin Yer's name. One should know that although this wasn't a big deal, it was very unusual. After all, ordinary emperors couldn't know a person's name just by seeing them. "Ancestor," Yin Yer was pulled to the woman's side by the light of the great path. She said softly, and then bowed to the woman. The woman smiled and shook her head. She personally lifted Yin Yer up with a gentle path power. Then, she waved her right hand, and all the immortal spiritual light in the white tower suddenly surged. In the blink of an eye, it condensed into a simple silver mirror. It was covered with immortal spiritual light, as if it was born from the 3,000 great paths. It gave off an unfathomable feeling. For a moment, everyone here was shocked. This is the divine mirror of divination. Lin Tian was moved. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.